Hello everyone, excellent morning to you. Welcome to Kakaaki, the African voice on Africa Independent Television, AIT. I'm Onoshorena Obozike. Hope you had a good night's rest. What we have for you this morning, the Cross River State government insists that it has recorded only one new case of COVID. State Health Commissioner Henry Ayuk, who made the clarification to our correspondent in Calabar on Thursday, said the story of multiple cases in sections of the media may have a reason from report that 10 contacts had been identified, which may have been interpreted as confirmed cases by the media or fabrications by persons bent on creating panic in the state in particular and Nigeria at large. The commissioner's comment came after a fresh case of COVID was confirmed in Cross River State after years of the pandemic that has led to the death of millions worldwide. The virus was confirmed in a Chinese man who arrived in Nigeria from China on March 17th and flew to Calabar for his work before he tested positive for the virus on April 17 after showing symptoms. The man is said to be responding well to treatment, and those who were in contact with the patient are under observation. On Kakaaki this Thursday morning, we will be getting a situational update when we join Cross River State Commissioner for Health, Dr. Henry Ayuk. Dr. Ayuk was billed to join us on Wednesday, but couldn't due to certain circumstances. Hopefully, we'll be luckier today. Also on the program this morning, Nigeria's National Assembly resumed from a 3-week break with their work clearly cut out for them. The controversial Electoral Act Amendment Law, creation of state police, the creation of new state, and the creation of special legislative seats for women are just some of the issues Nigerians want the 10th National Assembly to address before it winds down. On Wednesday, we focused on the issue of state creation, the different clamors, and how the National Assembly is likely to address them. Our focus this morning shifts to the creation of special legislative seats for women, the clamor for which has gained momentum in recent times. The House of Representatives on Thursday urged its members to accord accelerated legislative priority to the special seats for women bill as a matter of urgent national importance, adopting a motion of urgent public importance sponsored by Honorable Jesse Oke-Joe Onwa Kalusi from Lagos at plenary on Thursday. The House asked all lawmakers to vote unequivocally in favor of the bill at every stage of legislative consideration. The special seats bill or reserved seat bill is proposed constitutional amendment designed to increase women's representation in legislative houses by creating additional temporary seats especially for women. It proposes 37 extra seats and 37 additional House of Representatives seats for women to be active for 4 elective cycles to address low political participation of women. The special seats bill before the National Assembly will engage our attention later on the program when we will be joined by Honorable Obiajulu Ugo, the Deputy Chief Whip of the Enugu State House of Assembly. Now remember that you can be a part of the program this morning, and that will be by sending your views and comments to all our social media handles on Facebook, X, Instagram, as well as on YouTube. On YouTube, we are at Africa Independent TV. You could drop your comments to our conversation and we'll have them read out live on the program. And also, we would like that you stay up to date with the latest news from around the world. And that's why, at this point, we'll now join our World News desk for Kakaaki World News. Stay with us. Welcome to Kakaaki World News. We start from Iran this morning, where the President Pezeshkian condemned Gulf state for facilitating enemy military operations against Iran, warning that their security is at risk. He emphasized Iran's strong retaliatory stance and called for trust in negotiations. Meanwhile, Pakistan's diplomatic efforts are crucial in fostering peace and coordinating discussions among regional leaders. Still staying with Iran, Iran has fired on at least 3 ships in the Strait of Hormuz and seized 2 after President Trump extended Iran's ceasefire. The U.S. is still blocking Iranian port, but the prospect for peace talks are uncertain as diplomats from Israel and Lebanon are set to meet in Washington on Thursday. Israel agreed to a ceasefire with the Hezbollah militant group last week, while Lebanese officials are expected to raise the issue of homes in southern Lebanon that the Israeli army destroyed. Israel says Hezbollah was using the homes as outposts. U.S. President Donald Trump stated that King Charles and Queen Camilla's upcoming state visit would strengthen UK-US bilateral ties, calling the king a fantastic man. In a phone interview, he discussed his relationship with UK Prime Minister Keir Starmer, suggesting that Starmer could only improve if he changed his immigration stance. The royal couple's 4-day visit begins Monday, including a private meeting with Donald Trump and an address to the Congress. The trip commemorates the 250th anniversary of U.S. independence, highlighting shared prosperity and history. The U.S. Department of Justice has reclassified cannabis from a Schedule I narcotic to a Schedule III drug under acting Attorney General Todd Blanche's directive. This reclassification applies to marijuana products covered by the FDA or state medical licenses akin to Tylenol with codeine. President Donald Trump initiated the reclassification for increased access and research, despite marijuana still being illegal federally. Over 2/3 of Americans support full legalization, potentially influencing future policy changes. Ahmed Shihab Eldin, an American Kuwaiti journalist, has been acquitted of charges including spreading false information, harming national security, and misusing his mobile phone after being detained in Kuwait for reposting war-related content. His legal team confirmed the innocent ruling. Kuwaiti authorities have not commended Africa against immigrant are escalating viral hostility. Incidents include confrontations and assault on Ghanaians. Ghana's foreign minister condemned the videos and called for an investigation, while South Africa's officials promised support. Nigerian immigrants seek urgent intervention amid rising intimidation from vigilante groups. South African President Cyril Ramaphosa has suspended National Police Commissioner Fanny Masemula following his court appearance regarding a $21 million health services contract. Masemula, who is 62-year-old, is accused of failing oversight duties and breaching the Public Finance Management Act. His suspension, announced in Pretoria, underscores the need for integrity in law enforcement. Lieutenant General Puleng Dipen will serve as acting commissioner until the court proceedings conclude, amidst concern over police leadership accountability and ongoing investigations. In Tanzania, 518 people died from unnatural causes during protests after last year's general election, with 197 shot. The inquiry commission did not assign blame but called for further investigations. President Samia Suluhu Hassan won the October poll with 98% of the vote, denounced a mockery by the opposition amidst concerns over election transparency. Nigeria and South Africa are strengthening bilateral ties with a renewed commitment to unity, economic collaboration, and shared prosperity. This formed the focus of a Freedom Day commemorative event held in Lagos, bringing together policymakers, business leaders, and investors from both countries. Organizers say the gathering serves as a strategic platform to boost investment flows and deepen relations between Africa's largest economies.
By the way, at the center of the event was a high-level roundtable where stakeholders explored areas of opportunities in trade expansion, industrial cooperation, and private sector partnerships. Key sectors identified for growth include fintech, energy, manufacturing, and agriculture. As Africa advances the implementation of the African Continental Free Trade Area, South Africa and Nigeria carry a very special responsibility to lead by example. Our cooperation in priority sectors, telecommunications, digital transformation, energy manufacturing, infrastructure, and services has the potential to shape regional value chains, to deepen industrial capacity, and accelerate inclusive growth. Discussions also focused on the need to reduce trade barriers and improve the ease of doing business across both countries.
We can unlock significant investment flows, enhance productivity, and create jobs for a teeming population.
We have investments at the moment that are around 150 million US dollars, looking to invest a further 100 million in the next few months.
So that's why with our policy and advocacy department, we ensure that any policies that are implemented or reviewed are favorable to all players.
Stakeholders expressed optimism that the ongoing engagements will lead to concrete partnerships and long-term investments, advancing a more integrated and resilient African economy.
Now to a platform that ensures
The federal government has been asked to give priority to policies that support agro-processing, export facilitation, and access to financing as part of efforts to reposition Nigeria's agricultural sector for global competitiveness. Addressing House of Representatives press corps, an agricultural expert, Olusegun Alabi, stressed the need for authorities to support indigenous companies to drive economic transformation and boost foreign exchange earnings. Alabi noted that Nigeria and Africa must move away from exporting raw agricultural produce and instead focus on building strong processing industries that add value, create jobs, and increase revenue, asking investors to channel resources into value chain processing, describing it as key to industrial growth and long-term economic stability. Nigerian banks are under fire in a new report accusing them of zero tax transparency and weak climate action. The findings warn that illicit financial flows through banks are costing Nigeria billions and hurting development. The report has slammed Nigerian banks for scoring 0 on tax transparency and just 0.9 out of 10 on climate action. It says banks are being used for money laundering and illicit flows, costing Nigeria billions. The report urges regulators to update 2012 banking rules, warning that without reform, investor confidence and development will keep suffering. And President Bola Tinubu on Thursday held a closed-door meeting with governors elected on the platform of the All Progressives Congress, APC, at the State House in Abuja. The meeting, which took place behind closed doors as part of ongoing consultations between the president and key stakeholders within the ruling party ahead of future political activities. Speaking to journalists after the meeting, Niger State Governor Umaru Bago said the president reiterated his support for the adoption of either direct primaries or a consensus agreement in selecting party candidate. Bago explained that the president emphasized the need for unity within the party, urging members to adopt methods that would strengthen cohesion and ensure stability across party ranks. He added that the governors are aligned with the president's position, noting that consultations will continue among party leaders to reach broad agreement on the preferred mode of primaries. The meeting comes amid growing discussions within the APC over internal party processes and preparations for upcoming electoral cycles. In Nigeria's fast-moving political season, where defections and disputes often grab headlines, the leadership of the Accord says it is staying focused, despite what it describes as distractions from an expelled member. At a press conference in Abuja, the party's national chairman, Maxwell Umbudin, pushed back against claims of a leadership crisis, telling journalists there is no faction within the party. AIT's Oge Ihemekmen was there. It now reports.
The clarification follows a protest earlier in the week at the headquarters of the Independent National Electoral Commission, INEC, where former presidential candidate Christopher Imumone reportedly presented himself as party chairman.
Despite being duly invited, Imumone and 10 others he co-opted failed to appear before the committee in a show of arrogance. The disciplinary committee presented its report to the National Working Committee of the party and recommended their expulsion, having found them guilty as alleged.
To support this position, the party referenced a series of court proceedings, including ruling by the FCT High Court, which it says dismissed any claims to leadership by the former candidate.
Gentlemen of the press kindly called him and asked him to show you people the court order that you have been parading about. These are the court orders and the substantive rulings on the matter.
Mungbuden emphasized that the party's energy will be directed towards building its base and preparing candidates, while pointing to growing membership and its political strength in Osun State, where Governor Ademola Adeleke is cited as a key figure attracting supporters. Ogie Ihimekmen, AIT News, Abuja.
Still talking politics, African Democratic Congress has reaffirmed the need for Nigeria to chart a new course towards the 2027 general elections by ignoring mundane offers and vote credible leaders. Speaking to journalists at a media briefing in Abuja, a chieftain of the opposition ADC, Mohammed Ayatuddin, said the Nigerians deserve better living conditions, as there must be an end to the deepening security threat and economic downturn. The opposition chieftain also raised awareness in the need for Nigerians to be part of the voters' registration, to have their voters' card, to be part of the needed change to rebuild the country.
Some of us are already beginning to see signs of class struggle in this country. And whether we like it or not, if we continue sleeping on the switch and doing the same thing that we're doing and expecting a different set of results, then I think we have got another thing coming. The press in particular has a pivotal role. In your roles as citizens and compatriots to stand up for this country and highlight these issues on a daily basis, and use your channels to actually amplify the message many times over. and frighten the hell out of we, the leaders, to sit up and do what we should do by the people and for the people.
He, however, called on security and other related authorities not to relent in the pursuit of making the nation safe again. The Nigerian leaders are working on taking a stance against negotiations with kidnappers and other criminals over release of adopted victims as they were not elected to pamper them. The leaders made their stance known at the Kogi State Security Summit held in Abuja, saying they were elected to protect the citizens and deliver good governance as part of their campaign promises. While delivering his speech, the Vice President Kashim Shettima, who was represented by the Minister of State of Regional Development, Uba Amadou, noted that a responsive nation does not wait for threat to escalate before taking action, describing Kogi as a strategically significant state within the federation.
So strategically placed, must think beyond its borders, anticipate risk before they spill over, and organize its response with clarity and resolve. That is why this summit is not only timely, it is indeed necessary. We inherited a complex security challenge across the nation, compounded by years of neglect, economic anxieties, communal tensions, criminal opportunism, and the persistence of those who profit from disorder.
When security is strengthened, businesses thrive, investment grows, community flourish, and lives are protected. Let me also be clear about the fact that this administration will not negotiate with criminals. I was not elected to pamper the enemies of our peace. I was elected to ensure those who disturb our peace also do not enjoy peace. We will not bow to fear. We will not surrender our community to lawlessness. Those who choose the path of crime must be prepared to face the full weight of the law.
It's been said all that we need to have modern technological warfare. The kinetic measures alone will not end the insurgency. We need to have modern equipments that can deal with the insurgents. Countries are using artificial intelligence, robotics engineering, amongst others, with drones and others to address the lingering security situation. Because it's very difficult for somebody to deal with an enemy that you don't see.
Local vigilantes and professional hunters in securing remote areas and deepening collaboration with federal agencies, improving intelligence sharing and enhancing rapid response mechanisms. And that's the World News on Kakaaki, the African Voice this morning. Thank you for staying with us. Up next is Kakaaki Business.
Hello and welcome to Kakaaki Business. We start with the impact of Iran-US-Israeli war as nations face rising fuel and food costs. Small Pacific nations are grappling with rising fuel and food prices as global oil supplies tighten due to the ongoing Iran war. The disruption of shipments through the Strait of Hormuz, a key global energy route, has pushed up the cost of diesel, petrol and kerosene, with some countries recording increases of up to 70%. In places like Papua New Guinea, the impact is already severe as higher transport costs makes it harder for communities to access food supplies and healthcare services. Aid agencies warn that without urgent intervention, the crisis could worsen poverty level and slow economic growth across the Pacific region. And companies across key sectors are raising concerns over rising costs and supply disruption linked to the ongoing Iran conflict. From consumer goods to aviation and manufacturing, businesses say higher transport and raw material costs are beginning to weigh on operation and financial outlooks. Major firms have already signaled possible price increases as disruption in global shipping routes, particularly around the Strait of Hormuz, continue to impact supply chains. Analysts say the longer the conflict persists, the greater the pressure on businesses and consumers worldwide, with potential ripple effect on inflation and global growth. Authorities are examining a series of large oil market bets placed shortly before a key announcement on the Iran war by U.S. President Donald Trump. Traders reportedly placed about $430 million on falling oil prices just minutes before Trump announced an extension of ceasefire with Iran. This marks the latest in a pattern of well-timed trade linked to major policy shifts, raising questions about possible insider activity in the oil market. While the trades had limited immediate impact on prices, regulators are now monitoring the situation closely amid concerns over market transparency. Global financial markets are showing signs of caution as uncertainty over the Iran ceasefire continues to weigh on investors' confidence. Stocks and currencies across emerging markets recorded declines as investors moved towards safer assets amid concerns about energy supply disruption. Oil prices remain elevated at around $100 per barrel, reflecting ongoing uncertainty around shipments through the Strait of Hormuz. Analysts say attention is now shifting to central bank decision and inflation data, which will provide clearer insights into broader economic impact of the conflict. And in Nigeria, for many smallholder farmers, access to modern tools and export market has remained limited, but efforts are underway to change that. At a media briefing in Abuja, the president of the Abuja Chamber of Commerce and Industry, represented by Second Deputy President Idi Hong, said a new platform to address key challenges in the sector, especially mechanization gap, is underway.
So anything that needs to be done to improve the investability of agriculture is what we are out for. So we have held FarmFatech, which is another technology innovation in agriculture. The major difference between this and the previous platform is that this is agricultural mechanization and agro-business investment platform. And the primary intention is investment drive for agricultural development and mechanization toward agro-export.
We are creating awareness, preparing and creating an environment where people will be well informed, train, discuss, and bring about solutions that will end up going back to the rural area. And this is an idea to also ensure that there is job creation. Mechanization is another way that we don't do farming the conventional way we used to.
Director General of the Chamber, Gideani Agabaido, says the Chamber will also leverage alternative dispute resolution to help manage farmers-herders conflict.
We are adopting those mechanisms to ensure that disputes in the farm, whether it is farmer and the community or farmer and herder, could be easily resolved. And then there is also a national livestock plan, which the government has put in place, which the Chamber is leading its implementation on the private sector side, that has established models for dispute resolution. So it's not going to be resorting to violence as it has been.
The platform is expected to promote technology adoption, agro-processing and investment linkage to boost food security and strengthen Nigeria's agro-export potentials. Business owners in Nigeria are being advised to include arbitration clauses in their contract to ensure faster and smoother resolution of disputes. This call was made at an event on alternative dispute resolution, which focused on improving speed, innovation, and certainty in the business transaction.
The fundamental principle that underlies arbitration is consent. Parties must consent before they can arbitrate. So parties must, in their contract, elect to use arbitration or mediation to resolve their dispute. Unless you have done that, it will be, you will be unable to use it. Unless when dispute arises, you can then, choose to use it. But it's usually very difficult at that stage. So our advice to people, contracting parties, is to always embed arbitration in their contract or mediation in their contract, so that when the dispute arises, either parties can trigger that clause and then arbitrate or mediate.
Arbitration has come to stay. it is one of the ways that you can actually resolve your dispute without having recourse to the regular court. But however, it is consent-based. It is based on the consent of the party, because that is what gives jurisdiction to the arbitral tribunal to determine or resolve the dispute between those two contending parties. So the essence of this program is to create awareness.
Speakers at the event says ADR offers quicker, cheaper, and more flexible options, helping businesses resolve issues without damaging relationships.
Speed, which we are talking about today, the cost is less, and then the time frame. You know, time is money. So in ADR, you shorten the time that within which you do everything. The time is shorter. It's more friendly. Some ADRs like mediation. After doing mediation, parties can still have business interests. They can still work together. You don't have that anger that people have in litigation. When two people go to court, they are hardly friends. But when you go to ADR, the chances of continuing your business relationship is still there. So it has a lot of advantages.
Business people should be able to carry on with the business. If I have issues with you in business and you come to ADR, likely we'll still continue as partners and business people. But when you've gone through litigation with somebody, likely you've lost somebody who was your client, your partner, your business, your go-to person in business. So business does better in a place where the people can settle through other means than litigation.
Experts say wider adoption of arbitration will reduce risk, boost investors' confidence, and support business growth in Nigeria. The Minister of Industry, Trade and Investment, Jumoke Oduwole, has tasked the Corporate Affairs Commission, CSA, to prioritize digital innovation and strengthen user data protection following concerns over a recent cyber breach attempt on its platform. The Minister, Jumoke Oduwole, gave the charge during the inauguration of the new CSA board in Abuja on Wednesday, where the chairman of the board confirmed that no critical data was compromised as a result of the cybersecurity breach.
This is what happens in the modern era that we live in, and we continue to beef up the system. The Registrar General is currently away on an emergency trip working on this very matter. Nigerians can be rest assured the President is on top of the matter, the Ministry is on top of the matter, and now we have a chair and a board. The President sent him specifically to work with CAC to join the management and the Ministry and strengthen what is going on there.
There has been an incursion, but I want to use this medium to tell the whole world that CAC data has not been compromised at all. Management has identified the problem and they are working towards finding a solution. Our coming on board will simply add spice, add impetus, and make sure that the drive accelerates.
The board also pledged to deliver on its mandate, assuring Nigerians and the business community of improved service delivery. It emphasized plans to make business faster, easier, and more transparent, while boosting confidence in the Commission's digital platform. And lastly, stakeholders at the Nigerian Local Content Conference in Abuja are calling for greater inclusion of host communities in the oil and gas sector. They urge the federal government to allocate a 20% equity stake in oil block bids to Nigerians, covering the 50 bids under review by the Nigerian Upstream Petroleum Regulatory Commission. The conference convener, Mike Akweche, said the move would address poverty and underdevelopment in host communities, noting that current benefit sharing models have delivered little impact.
Currently they have done pre-qualification, which is the easiest one, and soon they'll be calling for the technical bid submissions so that they will be able to tell the companies that 20% equity must be incorporated in their bids. How do you organize it? We are looking at state by state, every state, 10,000 people from each local government, multiplied by the number of that local governments in that state.
Participants also proposed that oil blocks be awarded to 10 oil-producing states to boost regional participation and strengthen decision-making in the sector.
We want to be involved in decision-making because you cannot talk about the success of the industry without talking about the shifts in the area to be involved. because the bylaws that will guide and discipline the communities who would want to go contrary to the policy statement of the federal government to increase the oil revenue is centered around the chiefs.
Stakeholders further called for the expansion of cooperatives in the solid mineral sector, stressing that lasting solutions lie in full inclusion of host communities in governance and resource management. And that's it on Kakaaki Business. Good morning.
Welcome back from Business News. Up next on Kakaaki, the World News, the African Voice really is Kakaaki Sports, and Sembe Shima, as I like to say, the Benue girl, is standing by.
Thank you, Rena. If you didn't say that, I'm sure it's Rena that's talking this morning. But yeah, the Benue girl, Edo girl, thank you so much for that introduction. Well, good morning, welcome to Kakaaki Sport. Thank God it's Friday, as you can see from my outfit. Yes, it's Friday, Jalabia Friday. But yeah, it's good to be here this beautiful Friday morning and just to discuss on activities that went on in the world of sport during the week. And as we look forward to the weekend, talking about the weekend, and of course during the week, we know that Man City now leapfrog Arsenal to sit on top of the English Premier League table, and it's looking very interesting because Man City are getting, Pep Guardiola rather, is getting for his 5th title in the English Premier League, where Arteta still searching for his 1st in the English Premier League as a coach. Well, quite interesting this morning. I'll be getting into all the analysis as to what it will look like in the coming days, with exactly about 5 games left to be played this season, and we'll look how it's going to pan out for Pep Guardiola and of course Arteta, Mikel Arteta of Arsenal. But also the Nigerian Premier League is up for discussion this morning, and we'll be looking at the title race, the league highest goal scorer, the Golden Boots contention. All that analysis will be up for discussion this morning. And of course, the Nigerian Women's Football League also will touch on that as teams continue to battle for Super 6 slots left to be picked in that particular first stanza. And I'm not here alone this morning. I've been joined by my guest. I like to call him a very punctual guest. Good morning, Nonso Arinzechi. Good morning and welcome to Kakaaki Sports.
Good morning. Always nice to be here. Thank you for having me.
You're always punctual and always nice to have you on. When you see you, I know I'm getting here to meet you. But thank you so much for making time to me on the show this morning as always. Now, so quickly, let's get right into it. We saw during the week, Pep Guardiola showed why he is one of the greatest coaches of all time. I mean, getting that emphatic win against Burnley. One would say Burnley is a struggling side this season, but now they are top of the English Premier League. That is settled. Arsenal, on the other hand, still chasing their first title in about 22 years. How do you see this panning out if you look at the standing going into match day 34, which already started during the week?
I think it's quite open. A lot of people would say, oh, Man City are favourite because of the fact that, for over 200 days, Arsenal have been on top of the table up until what happened at Turf Moor, where Man City won that game. But let's be realistic. I like to be very clear about situations. I like to be very clear about how things went down. To be realistic, I think if you watch the Burnley game, you would realize that if you watch that game very well, that Man City also are not immaculate. I think there was a bit of fear, there's a bit of struggling. They suffered a lot, in terms of how they play. And if you watch that Burnley game exactly, they're not, out of this world. They are beatable. They just managed to get that victory. And right now, if you look at the table, it's well spot on for what's left off. Like you said, 5 games remaining. Both teams have got 70 points. Both teams have got the same goal difference. The only difference that Man City has scored 3 more goals than Arsenal. So it's wide open. Yeah. If you look at Man City's game as well, you realize that they have some away games. They're playing against all the games against the top 8 teams in the Premier League. But Arsenal had some free, some easy games against the teams, mid-table teams. Yeah. But again, it's Man City. You can't rule them out. You can't take the whole work they had done to get to this level. So it's going to be, for Pep Guardiola, for me, every game is going to be a fight. But I should tip Arsenal based on the games left to play. All
right, now looking at the table, as you can see, Man City right there with 70 points, like Ronson rightly pointed out. In the bottom place, Wolves and Burnley already relegated. Absolutely. It's written boldly they are. But for Spurs, West Ham and Nottingham Forest, quickly, do you see them joining this squad? Well, Nottingham Forest, you say they've skipped it, but it's just 3 points apiece. West Ham, who is also looking like they'll go down at the end of match day 34. But quickly, who do you think will be out of this, the Premier League after the end of match day 35? I think my heart
wants Spurs not to go down. I think there's some teams we say are too big to go down. Yeah. But the way they've been playing has been abysmal. But of course, under Roberto De Zerbi, they've improved. I think the way they played under him has been better, but the result has not smiled on them. Especially that late goal against Brighton at Tottenham Hotspur Stadium. West Ham, another team I love under Nuno Espirito Santo. But of course, if you look at the teams, Leeds United, look at the team that are not ready to go down. That draw they got at the Vitality Stadium against Bournemouth at midweek. Newcastle are struggling. But of course, they've got enough points to keep them somehow safe. But come on, I still fancy it has to be. It has to be Spurs and West Ham. Other friends are fighting with their dear life, and they're gathering points. So I think this is how it will end, but I think it will go out to the final day.
All right, let's see what happens if it goes up to the final day. But now let's take a look at the fixtures lined up for match day 34. Yes, like we told you earlier, it's already kicked off this week, and then we're going into the weekend. These are the fixtures lined up for the weekend. Fulham against Aston Villa. West Ham will be up against Everton. Wolves and Tottenham Hotspur, who are struggling for relegation.
The battle of relegation.
Battle of relegation. We'll go against each other. Who will get the 3 points? We'll find out this weekend. And Liverpool and Palace will do the battle there. And also Arsenal and Newcastle, Man United and Brentford. And that takes us to the Arsenal fixtures. Of course, the fixtures lined up for Arsenal and Man City, because now we're talking title contention. And Pep Guardiola is gunning for his 5th EPL title, while Arteta, on the other hand, struggling for his 1st. If you look at the lineup, like you rightly pointed out, the first one this weekend will be against Newcastle. And for Man City, will you say they're going to have it tough? Or do you see Pep Guardiola holding on to this one and, living on high against Man City?
It will be tough. It's not cast on stone that Man City will win all the remaining games. And also it's not cast on stone that Arsenal will win all the remaining games. I think it may come down to goal difference. I think it's going to be that close. Arsenal know they must win. Arteta is under pressure. But for Pep Guardiola, for him, it's about, showing the world that he can come back from the dead. This is a team that we said was really bad, but can end the season winning a treble. They've won the Carabao Cup in the semi-finals, which they played this weekend. They played in the semi-finals against Southampton, I beg your pardon. Chelsea played Leeds as well on Saturday. So that's why they're not having any games this way in the Premier League. So that gives Arsenal a chance to, of course, get a victory at the Emirates Stadium. Arsenal have got a very good record against Newcastle, of course, and if they can get that result, they don't put the pressure on Man City when they return from the FA Cup duties that goes down this weekend.
All right, those are the fixtures for the 2 title contenders in the English Premier League. Arsenal, you right see there, Newcastle this week, match 34, Fulham away at home, West Ham away, Burnley away at home, Crystal Palace will be at home as well. While Man City, on their hand, also have Crystal Palace at home, and then they'll play Everton away, Brentford at home, Bournemouth at home, and Aston Villa. And also rightly said it, they have the tougher teams.
Absolutely.
Table toppers, top 10 teams in the English. 8 teams in the English Premier League. While Arsenal, on the other hand, have a little bit of Burnley already relegated. West Ham, who are also struggling for relegation there.
Newcastle, who are also struggling as well.
If they put their ass right, they'll probably get all points needed here. And then
but I think there's one thing that could still decide who wins the title: Crystal Palace. Unfortunately, Man City would have played them this weekend, but they have a FA Cup game to play. Arsenal was playing them on the final day of the season, and Arsenal playing them away. That is another problem. When you go to go play them at the Selhurst Park, they can be a handful, a mouthful. And they've got a good manager as well, who will be leaving at the end of the season anyway. The guy who won them their first title in the FA Cup. So they've got a good. I don't know how it's about. I just feel at the back of my head that Crystal Palace could determine who wins the title this season.
All right, Crystal Palace are going to be the title crowners, the kingmakers rather.
Absolutely.
Now, the kingmakers. But now let's move away from the English Premier League. Of course, talking about Arsenal now, they will be also in battle in the UEFA Champions League. If they lose out of this one, at least they have hope in the UEFA Champions League, which will be coming up next week rather.
Absolutely.
So quickly, how do you see the predictions as looking at the fixtures from the UEFA Champions League?
I think Arsenal's got a good draw. From the start of the... I said that Arsenal's Premier Champions League games will begin in the semi-finals. And I don't know how they did against Sporting, but they've got through. They're playing against a team that is very pragmatic in Simeone. It's going to be the battle of the defense, That's why I see it. Arsenal's got the best defense in the world in terms of goals considered. Simeone has been known for his pragmatic and his defensive structure, very solid behind. But I want to tilt with Arsenal. I think Arsenal has got experience. They've got some good players. And if you watch the game against Man City over the weekend, you realize that the team is getting back to its very best. The way they play against Man City, they push to Man City all the way at the Etihad Stadium. But come on, you can never rule out Diego Simeone. It's going to be a fight. I think the biggest game has to be this one.
Everybody's saying that.
It has to be this one.
But I mean, okay, yes.
This team does. Bayern Munich has just won the league. They've got to the final of the DFB Pokal Cup. For PSG as well, they are 4 points clear from the league. Despite losing to Lyon over the weekend, they won announced 3-0 at the midweek. They're also in the cup competition. They could win the double as well. Both of them, a lot of people say the winner of the Champions League is decided from this game. But I don't think so, because these two defense has proven they can dump out the very best. Go ask Real Madrid. Go ask Barcelona, So for me, it's going to be a tough game, but this is the big one, Michael Lees, Harry Kane, Luis Diaz, scoring goals, reckless abandon. It's going to be fun watching them play against PSG.
We will see how that pans out, George, about this week, Monday or so, Tuesday, thereabout.
Absolutely.
But now, quickly, let's look at Nigeria Premier League as well. It is quite interesting in the Nigeria Premier League. That's top flight football here in Nigeria. And Rangers International seems to be going away with this one, making it to going in for their 9th NPFL title, while Rivers United, on the other hand and not letting it slide so quickly.
Yeah.
Looking at the standing, and as we know that we're going to have a break this weekend because of the FA Cup.
2 weeks break.
2 weeks break because FA Cup. So
Cups, yeah.
looking at the standing now, who do you think will return to the league after the FA Cup fixtures to grab this one home? Because it's just about 3 games left to be played.
I'm going with pedigree. I'm going with, of course, history. I'm going with Rivers United. Enugu Rangers, because last time they won the league was under Fidelis Ichuku.
Yeah.
Still there. And before there was through Imama Imakapabu. Over 30 years when they did that under Imama. And about that team that had the likes of Chisom, that had the likes of Chidebere. The guy is a fantastic winger that year. But things have changed. And I think Rivers have got the better pedigree. We saw them in the continent playing the CAF Conference Cup.
You were here, right? And you told them it was not a good outing. You said it was not a good outing.
It's not a good outing, but they're the best team right now in terms of quality in Nigeria. And we have to be sincere about it. I think Rivers have got some more home games. It will have to, for Rangers to win the league, they have to go away and get a point from one of their last 3 games. And I doubt their ability away from home.
All right,
that's
so now looking at quickly the games, people have relegated already from the Nigerian Premier League, and already teams have qualified into the Nigerian Premier League. So we're sure that it is not going to look like this after match day 35. Yeah. These are the qualified teams now to the Nigerian Premier League. How your take on Lagos now? Lagos seems to be dominating. Curiosity is there going for continental slot. And now we have Inter-Lagos. Sporting Lagos also just gained promotion back to the Premier League. What do you see of these teams? How do you see them, playing out when the season starts?
My big question is, which will these guys be playing when they come to the MPFL?
Right?
How many games do they play every week?
I mean, they have to play within the week.
And that's why we need to talk about the infrastructure and why the league has to improve. If the 13 Balogun Stadium was working, if the Surulere Stadium was up top gear, you won't be sad. After there are so many teams playing in London, playing the Premier League, and there's no issue. All of them got their stadiums. But here now, we have Sporting Lagos, you have Inter-Lagos, you have Ikorodu City. Hopefully, if the things are right, you could have as much as 3 teams in the MPFL. So it is what it is for me. But for me, the biggest winners for me is Ranchers Bees. This is a team that was just created. Sadiq Umar and the son of Aerofai put the team together, brought in Patrick Bassi. It didn't stay long due to some issues. But they managed to return back to the MPFL. That's what
after 2 decades.
I think it's a big applaud to the private sector. Big applaud to the private sector because for me, a team that has this team has got history. Go ask about Kaduna, what Rangers is all about. To come back to the Premier League for me is huge for Kaduna State.
Right, indeed. I mean, we'll see how it pans out. But those are the teams that have qualified: Sporting Lagos, Inter-Lagos, Doma United, and of course Ranchers Bees of Kaduna. Kaduna now gets a Premier League club after 2 decades of not having one. But now let's wrap up this conversation this morning without touching on the Nigeria Women's Football League as well. It's quite interesting there. These were the results. But we'll look at the fixtures now. I mean, the standing now, quickly. The standing, Group A is done and dusted. Super 6 slots have been picked, but Group B still more to fight for in that group. And who do you think, your predictions quickly, looking at the standing in Group B?
This is my league. I follow this league with all my heart, and I've got some soft spot for Nigeria. Unfortunately, they sit bottom of the table. But let's go to the bottom one, Group B. Global Queens picked up the result against Remo Stars over the midweek and have qualified. For me, I think it's going to be Nasarawa Amazons. And of course, Remo Stars ladies. I've got a soft spot for Wemimo Matthew, fantastic coach. I think she's one of the best we've got in the league. Abia Angels, I do know I don't know what came into them this season. They've been on fire. And the good thing is that Remo Stars have got 3 games left. What it means that they must win 2 games. They must win their 2 games and hope other results fall in place for them. It's no longer in their hands. But that's what I just believe. Maybe a miracle could happen. Remo Stars get 2 victories. And maybe Abia Angels drop points somewhere. But I think for me, Nasara will make it. They've got a good coach, the under-20 coach, Christopher Danjuma, a fantastic coach. Robo Queens, of course, I got a very good coach as well. I'm filling my head right now. Robo Queens, Nasarawa Amazons, and
Abia Angels.
And Remo Stars.
Okay, I say Remo Stars. I wanted to say it's going to stay like this, but
it looks like it's going to stay like this.
It looks like it's going to stay like this. But Remo Stars, let's not take it away from them. They've actually been informed. Even last season, they got to a certain point.
Got to Super 6. Almost won it on the and lost it on the final day.
To Bias United. But thank you so much, Nonso, for sharing your analysis and thought and your predictions. Hopefully, we get to talk more and see if those your predictions come to pass. Precisely as it concerns the Nigeria Women's Football League and, of course, the EPL and the UEFA Champions League. But thank you so much again, for being on.
Thank you for having me. It was a pleasure, Priya.
All right. That's our package on Kakaaki Sports this beautiful Friday morning. Thanks for being a part of it. I am Simbi Shima. Up next is the social intervention segment, so stay tuned.
And welcome to Get Fit in 60 Seconds with Jolly Phillips. Now, everyone has 60 seconds in every day to spare. So if you're ready, let's go! Welcome! you did awesome. Well done. Well done! I hope you had a great workout. Anyway, what I need you to do is to follow us on Instagram at Alpha Fitness Studios and subscribe to our YouTube channel, Alpha Fitness Studios, for free workout videos, free dance videos, sales and promos, and make sure you join us at the gym, Alpha Fitness Studios in Lekki Phase 1 next time you're in Lagos. So until the next time, bye-bye!
Hello, great people of Nigeria. Welcome to the Leadership Clinic. Today I'll be speaking about what is your thought life like. Before you speak a word, before you take an action, there's a battle happening in your thoughts. What you think about yourself, what you believe is possible, the stories you tell yourself about why you can't succeed, the fears you replay over and over again. In fact, it's all about mind leadership. That's exactly what it is, because the powerful thoughts that you project in your mind has the capacity to help you become who you want to become in life. So your thoughts can shape your reality. This is a fact. If you constantly think, I am not smart enough, you will stop trying to learn. If you think, I will always fail, you give up and you won't be able to start up anything great. If you think people like me don't succeed, you will sabotage your every opportunity. I've seen people walk into a room and they say, this room is not meant for me. Come on, how could you say a thing like that? This room is not meant for me. If you constantly, at every point in time, tell yourself that you have the capacity to make a big difference, and you think about it, because the Bible says the man thinketh in his heart, so is he. The quality of your thoughts can determine your future. So what do you allow to stay in your mind that can strengthen your belief system? Because once your belief system is outstanding and you are confident based on how you think and feel about yourself, then what it means is that you are over 50% on the path to becoming very successful. If there's going to be success in your future, then I want to let you know, you must understand the power of thoughts, powerful thoughts, great thoughts. If you think you're capable, trust me, you are capable. If you think that you are smart, then you remain in the learning system. If you think that, look, you are going to become outstanding, trust me, over a period of time, people will notice that you stand out. The truth of the matter is that if you have something valuable to offer, the first place I want you to show up boldly is in your thought system. Pay attention to every single thing that you think about. Second, remove every negative thought from your mind. As a leader, your mind must be thinking about possibilities, not what will not work. As a nation, we must begin to think about a nation that works for everybody. We must think about Nigeria is a great nation in our thoughts, in our pattern, in what we say. Our thought must have integrity of thought. Our thought must have capacity. Our thought must have ideas that work. Our thoughts must be a
and social intelligence shape success becomes a powerful advantage. This is Etiquette with Etty, the inspirational pep talk series where renowned etiquette expert Lady Etty shares practical wisdom and transformational life lessons designed to help individuals navigate life with dignity, poise, and purpose. Welcome to Etiquette with Etty.
She's got grace, she's got style.
Some of the biggest opportunities in life begins with something very simple, a conversation. But many people struggle with small talk. Hello there, my name is Etienne Akwanuso, and you can call me Lady Etty, your preferred refinement pedagogue. And today, we're learning how small talk can lead to big opportunities. Small talk is not meaningless conversation. It is actually the gateway to connections. Many partnerships, friendships, and opportunities begin with a simple exchange. Here are 3 simple ways to master small talk. Firstly, you can always start with your environment. What do you think of this event so far? Simple observations start conversations easily. Secondly, ask open-ended questions. So instead of saying something like, "Do you like your job?" ask, "What inspired you to go into that field?" Thirdly, listen with genuine interest. I emphasize this a lot because people appreciate those who are curious about their stories. Remember, every great connection once began with a simple greeting, a simple hello. When you master the art of conversation, you open the door to relationships and opportunities. Keep it elegant always.
Today on Etiquette with Etty, Lady Etty reminds us that refinement is not just about how we appear, but about how we think, how we speak, and how we treat others. Because true elegance begins with character and is expressed through grace. To deepen your journey in etiquette, personal refinement, and social excellence, you are invited to join the programs and masterclasses at ETI Global Academy, where individuals are equipped with the skills and confidence to thrive in today's world. Follow Lady Etty at The Lady Etty and Etiquette Africa at Etiquette Africa across all social media platforms for more transformational life tips and upcoming events. This program is proudly brought to you by ETI Global Academy and Etiquette Africa.
Nigeria, Africa and beyond. Lady Etty's teaching everyone to follow.
Focus Nigeria. It's a huge task, but we take it on.
Ask him where is the law. National Assembly is not doing hearing on insecurity in Nigeria. It is America that is doing hearing on insecurity in Nigeria.
Monday to Friday on Focus Nigeria, we identify the nagging issues.
Some people put people in poverty deliberately, deliberate misplacement of priorities, and brought people on their knees to suffer.
We seek answers to the tough challenges.
And because of the former president, yes, what I know is that he has not turned his membership card. He has not been attending your meeting.
Leave that to us to deal with.
There's no shying away from the issues.
The system is held accountable. The leaders are accountable for the funds, for the resources that they manage.
No sitting on the fence.
The same thing that made you live where you are may confront you.
Focus Nigeria, 10 a.m., Monday to Friday on AIT.
All right, everyone, good morning to you. If you're just joining us, this is Kakaaki, the African Voice, and it's 7 a.m. over here. And you know what time it is? Newspaper o'clock. I will not be doing this alone. We have our usual guests joining us this morning, and they're right here. Good morning, Emmanuel Azikin, and good morning to you too.
Good morning.
Trust you well this morning.
Yeah, I'm well.
All right.
I'm Emmanuel Aziken.
I know. Thank you. The White Chief. Thank you for joining us this morning.
Good morning.
All right, let's begin with the pages of the newspapers this morning. We'll start with Daily Global, and what it leads with, it says, Tinubu seeks Senate approval for fresh $516 million loan. And that's how the papers begin this morning. So the disclosure, it says, Nigerians fume as President Tinubu asks Senate to approve fresh $516 million loan from Deutsche Bank. One of the writers says, loan, federal government second in 1 month. Away from that to this Nigeria, it says the same thing, $516 million. Senate okays Tinubu's request. Opposition CSO's kick. Split over development gains and debt risk. Also in line, Nigerian pilot says Tinubu seeks fresh $516 million loan. Asks Senate to approve amount to fund Badagry-Sokoto Superhighway project. You'll find that on page 8 of the paper Nigerian Pilot this morning. The same story, the Business NG says Nigeria's debt hits 80.5 trillion naira as spending outspaces earnings. And also there we have pictures of the finance minister's consecutive. It says Finance Ministry in flux amid frequent ministerial shift over 3 months. And from there we go to Al Jazeera Friday. It says 2027 Tinubu APC governors meet ahead of primaries, talking some party politics there. Also, Daily Asset says 2027 APC begins sales of forms, adopt consensus, direct primaries. It says presidential governorship primaries not scheduled. Another writer says party rules out restrictions of forms. You'll find that on page 2. The same story that we started with, Daily Asset also has it. It says Tinubu seeks Senate nod for $516 million Sokoto Badagry Superhighway loan. Now to the blueprint. It says 2027 elections would succumb to blackmail by desperate politicians. That's FG talking tough there. Vows to stop those fanning embers of hatred. It says media must be accurate, responsible in reportage. CJN. To the New Telegraph, it says governors ready for state pleas. Present administrative financing framework. The writer says seek outstanding fiscal issues resolutions. Want measures to restore confidence in fiscal management. You find that on page 4 of New Telegraph this morning. And then to the Daily Monitor, it writes on insecurity. Federal government's intelligence-led coordination yielding positive result. Idris says ongoing military operation in Northeast has led to recovery of territories previously under insurgent control. And we have a picture of Peter Obi right there, his visit with Southeast stakeholders yesterday to Bauchi to see the governor. And down below, the paper still says Tinubu seeks NAT's approval for another $518 million loan. Now we go to Daily Sun. It says, troops kill 24 terrorists as gunmen spill blood in Kaduna. Court remands 4 suspects in DSS custody, adjourns case to April 30 over Angwa Rukuba killings. And also, Daily Sun has 2027 Obi leads Saudi stakeholders to Bauchi, seeks Bala Mohammed support for national unity and power shift. You find that on page 6 of the paper. From Daily Sun, we go to Observer's Time. It says, ICPC to DSS, RFI pleads not guilty as judge orders accelerated trial in spy scandal. Ex-governor faces a 5-count charge for allegedly intercepting Nuhu Ribado's communications. From Observer's Times, to go to The Authority about the same story, and it says DSS arraigns RFI for allegedly intercepting Ribado's phone conversations to remain in custody of secret police until May 18. Let's see how the Standard Times puts it. It says Jet A1 airfare hike looms despite Tinubu's concessions. That's how Standard Times leads us this morning. To Leadership Friday, it says aviation fuel crisis. Keyamu's meeting with airlines, marketers, regulators ends in deadlock. No domestic airline will fly in the next 7 days if nothing is done. That's Onyema speaking right there. All right, those are the papers for us this morning, and the headlines will now come to the studio to bring in our reviewers. We'll start with the Money Matters, the loan from Daily Global, Disclosure News, This Nigerian Pilot, and a host of other papers, saying that Tinubu seeks approval for fresh $516 million loan. We'll start with you, Emmanuel. How do you review this?
Well, it's shocking. Nigerians are becoming a little bit, not a little, I want to say Nigerians are becoming apprehensive the way with which government is borrowing. And what makes it even more apprehensive is that these loans, the process and the utilization with which it's not, the process with which the loans are sourced and the way they are utilized, many Nigerians do not find it very comfortable. But mark you, borrowing is a way of stimulating the economy. Borrowing can be, when well-intentioned, can be useful, as it is concerning this proposal to borrow to finance the Lagos-Sokoto superhighway. Such helps to open up the countryside. It helps to boost the development along that corridor. So ordinarily, one would welcome it. But the fact that the way the government has been borrowing and what they have been using it for, and the estimated total debts that Nigeria is now having, it's now, presently we have about $111 billion as our total debts. About half of it to external creditors. So, but one will begin to question, what are these loans being used for? What are they impacting the broader economy? And the prioritization that the government is giving to such loans. You are borrowing for the Lagos-Calabar Expressway. You are borrowing for, you now want to borrow for the Lagos-Sokoto Expressway. Whereas things of immediate concern to the populace are not being addressed because of low budget financing. You recall just this week or last week, we were told, it came to national attention, that the amount of money being released to fight insurgency or to the military is a very poor, it is very poor compared to what was approved. So if government cannot prioritize the fight against insurgency, which to me is of more concern to us, because you need to be alive to enjoy the highway. Nigerians need to be alive. Those who are being killed, those in the custody of bandits in Kwara, they will not appreciate this. So I think government should prioritize its energy, its focus towards combating insecurity. If we are borrowing to say, yes, we need help to fight insurgency, to bring down these bad boys, one could say that, could give it an applause. So I'm especially concerned. The debt to capital, the debt to capital ratio, it's now, every Nigerian is now owing about 700,000 naira. 700,000 naira, that is what every Nigerian ordinarily carries on his head as a public debt. So I think the National Assembly should scrutinize this. They should find, is this a priority that Nigerians, a priority for Nigeria or not? And if it is not, I think they should not approve the loan if they have the balls to stand up to President Tinubu and to tell him this is not a priority. We have more things of more priority to us.
Okay, let me come to you, Ezeocha. I followed the conversation on the floor of the Senate yesterday, and the argument there coming from the Senate president, he says we need infrastructure, we need to invest in infrastructure and also pay through infrastructure. And the other senator, earlier also, he said that this conversation has been ongoing for 55 years and that 250 kilometers of that road will be across Kebbi, Niger, Kwara, Oyo, Ogun State, and it will reduce distance by road from Sokoto to Lagos, minusing up to 5 hours and reducing it to 7 hours on the road. Is this not good news?
You know, very correct. You listened very well. I listened to those conversations too. You see, Emma just said here that the Senate should turn down the loan. This is a Senate that has already approved the loan. If you listen very well, just like I did, Akpabio was very, very emphatic when he said that we can borrow for infrastructure and we can also pay through infrastructure, just as you said. And Adamu Aliero, just because I don't know, he said that this discussion has been on for 55 years. You now ask yourself, if this Sokoto to Badagry, Lagos State is very lucky. Every highway gets to, that is how to have your own person on board. You see, you ask yourself, if this discussion has been on, if this Sokoto-Badagry superhighway has been on for 55 years, what has happened? What has happened to the previous, allocations meant for this road? And now we are talking about borrowing 516,333,007 US dollars to fund this road. How are we going to pay? How are we sure that this over $516 million will not go the way the others went for the past 55 years? And we are talking of borrowing. Rena, don't forget that this 516 million is the second borrowing from the federal government in 1 month.
Your paper says so.
Yes. When this news broke, the Disclosure News made some calls. There was no Nigerian that was called that was in support of the loan. That was why we said Nigerians foam.
How many Nigerians did you sample?
Sampled opinions, even the opposition. You can imagine, you saw what Atiku said about it. It is not that, like Emma said, it is not that borrowing is bad. But in the Nigerian situation, borrowing has never yielded any dividend. I love what Business NG did. Business NG brought out the whole loan Nigeria has taken. Over 80.7 trillion naira debt. And the paper, sealed it up when he noted that spending has outspaced earnings. When are we going to pay all this? What are we even borrowing for? Like Emma said here, allocations, procurement for security to fight the dreaded terrorists in this Nigeria. Implementation was only 7%. Only 7%. Contractors are being owed. Nigeria is the only country that is still running a 2015-2025 budget. We don't know when it will end.
2024.
To even 2024-2025 budget. It's still running. We have approved and signed 2026. We don't know when 2026 will begin. And we are borrowing. We borrow not even to face the major challenges that are confronting this country, like insecurity. Nigerians are borrowing to construct road. I listened to Adamu Aliero where he's talked about, yes, it cut across his state. What do you expect him to say? But what we are even saying is, how sure are we that this loan, knowing very well that it is a loan, how are we sure that the implementation will be there? Is this government going to tell Nigerians that they will complete this road or even complete the Lagos-Calabar, another superhighway, before it exits? Okay. Or even during its second tenure? Okay, what we are saying here is that Nigerians are very angry about, because like Emma said here, we don't even know how much an average Nigerian is owing when you break down these loans. And where are they going to? We are not seeing it.
Let's see what Abayome is saying on our YouTube channel at Africa Independent TV. He says, so you journalists expect governments to keep wasting money on insecurities created by Nigerians themselves than infrastructure that will grow the economy of all Nigerians? What do you think it means?
Where are the infrastructure? That is what I have been saying here. I'm not saying infrastructure is bad. Where are these infrastructure? It was in this same past government that Abacha so-called loot was repatriated. They told us it will go into Second Niger Bridge, into this, into that. After that administration, we have started hearing a different story. And what we are saying is, if you borrow, and Abayomi should not also look away the fact that insecurity should be fought. Fighting insecurity also means if there are people, bad legs in the government that are supporting it, they should be fished out. That is the way you fight it also.
Excuse me, let me just add there. What Abayomi is saying derails from the primary essence of government. The primary purpose of government is the security and well-being of the people. Government's priority should be the life, the way lives are being wasted. Is he happy with it? Or is she happy with it?
Well, I'm not sure.
No, the fact is that, no.
Yeah.
The fact is that Nigerians should rise up to the occasion. We should address this issue. Because infrastructure, are you building infrastructure for the dead? Because the infrastructure, okay, now, you talk about the Lagos-Calabar Expressway, which initially they said was going to be a PPP. But now it has now turned over to a full government funded project. And what have they done? How many kilometers have been done outside Lagos?
Okay.
Now, you are talking about, excuse me, this Lagos to Sokoto Expressway. You want to do it at the expense of the Abuja to Benin Expressway, that people cannot travel? People cannot travel today now within Nigeria because of bad roads and insecurity. Bad roads and insecurity. Why don't, if your government had taken money to repair what we have presently, you have the east-west road that is in a total state of disrepair.
Yeah.
And you are now borrowing money to do Lagos-Calabar Expressway, which has not even gone anywhere.
Okay.
So government should have a priority.
True. Maybe a competing priority. This is what this is to them. But let's look at Observer's Time Authority as well. It says ICPC to DSS, El-Rufai pleads not guilty as judge orders accelerated trial in spy scandal. El-Rufai in DSS custody, ICPC until June.
Yeah, for me, what the DSS did in arraigning the former governor of Kaduna State is very much in order. Because the man opened up and said that they intercepted the NSA's phone conversations, which is a security risk and a crime too, a cyber crime, so to say. So, but like now the matter is in court, I think he should be able to defend himself and prove why he was able to do that. The DSS is in order. But the aspect I don't like is the area of DSS seeking, asking the court to allow it not to unmask, to unmask its witnesses.
To mask.
To mask, sorry. Okay. So, I'm sorry about that, to mask. So the best thing should have been to unmask them. Let the defendant know those who are, coming out to witness to prove what he said or he did. So you don't do a secret trial, and that's what the DSS is trying to do. But as for charging El-Rufai to court over this allegation, I think it is very much in order. DSS is doing a good job, but they should complete it by making sure that the witnesses will be unmasked. Let people know those who have come to witness, to bear witness against the former governor. And let him face judgment. Let justice be proved. Let the matter not be handled like a political issue. Let them face it because he has said it that he intercepted it. He said it himself. It should be a judicial matter and let the judiciary be given free hand to handle it. But for what DSS did, I'm totally in support of it.
Okay, let's come to you, Emmanuel Aziken. How would you review this? And also looking at ICPC, for example, I think that he's also to be in their custody up until June. And now we have DSS rather, May 18.
And you also have him with EFCC too. So El-Rufai has been put out of circulation. And which makes some people to believe that there's some matter of politics involved in this. So he'll be totally out of circulation when the permutations as concerning the production of the opposition candidate against the sitting administration will emerge. So that is it. But I must give my kudos to the authorities as concerning arraigning him, especially the DSS. But I think the trial should be brought forward. And I also would also, just as they are doing to El-Rufai, even yesterday, the news came out that the DSS had also arraigned 4 persons who were caught in the killing of, who were suspects in the Angwa-Rukuba killings, which is a commendable
Another
effort.
commendable effort.
Because we must commend the DSS when they do well. In collaboration with the Plateau State government, they've been able to, for the first time, at least, because killings happen in Nigeria and it continues. The perpetrators are not brought to justice. So now we see the DSS in collaboration with the Plateau State government arraigning the alleged suspects who were involved in the Angwa-Rukuba killings. So this will make Nigerians to see the faces of those who are alleged to have committed that horrendous killing. So it's a kudos to the administration and to the authorities, the DSS and the Plateau State government, and I must give my kudos in that direction.
Very well then. Let's bring in our viewers at this point again from our YouTube channel, Africa Independent TV. Kunle Abundant says, this money can be used to fix all older roads, expand the older roads, everything will work better. This money will go into private hands. Ebony Francis says, and the main question is, where are the social amenities these borrowed monies have been used for? We never see any evidence but incessant killings and dilapidated infrastructures. For Godwin, it says, where is the saves from fuel and electricity? Where is the money generated from revenue? Oguche Sunday, it's unfortunate that our national discussion is based on ethnic lines. I saw someone commenting, giving a testimony. Okay, yeah. Someone had said that they saw infrastructure going on. I'm trying to look for that as balance, but I can't find you. All right, let's come back to our conversation to see next topic for discussion. Airfare hike looms despite Tinubu's concession. Standard Times and Leadership both have this story. I mean, as DAS aviation correspondent, I've had to wait closed-door meetings 2 days ago, yesterday as well. We came back late. Yesterday, a meeting by the Keyamo, Minister of Aviation. He met with oil marketers yesterday, earlier with AON, Airline Operators of Nigeria, and they are insisting on a strike, closure of operations if nothing changes in 7 days. But then the government says they are putting out a focal person, a committee, who would in 72 hours come back to say this is how we've structured the framework that we think would work. Jet A1, aviation fuel costs.
Well, Jet, it's not only in Nigeria, it's all over the world on account of the crisis in Iran. But as I always say, Nigeria should have a comparative advantage on the fact that we produce oil. We produce oil. So I don't think the cost of Jet A1 in Nigeria should be the same as it is abroad. But unfortunately, the government keeps on telling us, yes, that it is the same, we have to be dollar rated, and I don't think we should go that way. We should be able to use what we have to enhance our competition abroad. Imagine if Jet A1 is cheaper in Nigeria. That will make Nigerian airlines to fly cheaper, which will make them to compete better against the international competitors. But I must appreciate the proactive initiatives of the administration, especially of the Minister of Aviation, who has quite, I think that's probably one of the selling points that President Tinubu can brag about as concerning his 2 or 3 years in office, because we've seen some enhancements in the aviation sector. It's just this threat, this is an external threat, which ordinarily should not be. if we were prepared, if we as a country were able to use our own advantage as a local producer of oil to compete against the international markets.
All right, so at that meeting yesterday on Wednesday, the government had said they would be giving a discount to the debt that the airline operators owe, and it was not announced, but the airline operators said they would prefer a total waiver, 100% of what they owed. But yesterday, Keyamu told us that 30% discount has been announced, so 30% of what the airline operators owe will be paid by the government to aviation agencies. But there are those who say that this is because the government flies. If this were a road transportation, this conversation and the urgency that this matter has been given by the federal government would not have existed.
That is where I'm actually going to. You see, transportation is not restricted to air. And my colleague here said this thing has become like this because of the war in Iraq. But we know that that sector has been very problematic even before the war in the Middle East, even before this thing was closed, before Iran closed the link to have a world fuel. But what we are saying here is that, is there any priority? We know how much Nigerians paid during Christmas. I've been saying it here that, yes, the war in Iran is telling on the world. But we cannot leave a sensitive sector of this country into the hands of a monopolist. It is not possible. This is what you will get when you allow a sensitive area like petroleum, refinery, fuel, gas to be in the hands of one man. Independent marketers must continue to toy with us. Before the Iran crisis that shot the prices to over 1,300 naira, Nigerians were also paying through their nose to get petrol. The Jet A1 we are talking about was also high. So people can now lean on the development in the Middle East to now cause more confusion. But like you said, 30% discount to airlines. What about transport? Majority, 80% of Nigerians travel by road. Don't forget that. During this Easter, the last Easter celebration, the last Salah celebration, I know so many families that couldn't travel because they could not afford the transport fare. When you will be traveling from Abuja to Onitsha, you are paying 70,000 naira by road. How much do you have? And this is a country where 70,000 naira is the minimum wage. So what we are saying is that if there is concession to the airlines, the Nigerians that also use the elite abandoned transportation system, that is the road, should also be considered. Considered by making sure that the roads are safe, by making sure that the fares are reduced. And how can you reduce the fares? By reducing the high cost of fuel in this country. It is telling. You don't blame an airline that buys fuel at a very high rate. You don't expect them to come down. They must raise their fare to make sure that they make gain. Because he who is in business is in business to make profit. The same thing goes to the transporters that use the Nigerian roads. Like Ima analyzed here, the roads are very bad. Nigerian roads are very bad. Death traps, highly dilapidated. And we are talking about constructing fresh ones. When, for example, East-West Road is nowhere to travel from Abuja to Lokoja, Gwagwalada to Lokoja, Okene to Opela to Auchi to Benin. Death trap, impassable. And we are talking about, let it be a general thing. Let every sector feel it. If there is concession, if there is a rebate, it should not be it should not be that area that concerns
Right.
our political stakeholders.
True. As you mentioned that, we will not forget to remember the senator who was given the justification for the need for SUVs, and he says,
because the roads are bad.
I cannot go to Kogi State, my home, because of bad roads, so we needed the SUVs. Interesting. All right, we have to thank you so much, Ezeocha Inze, Disclosure News Editor, also GNG News Editor, Emmanuel Azikied. Thank you for joining us this Friday morning.
Thank you.
And do enjoy your weekend in the voice of Mr. President.
Thank you very much.
All right, everyone, from here we observe a short break, and when we return, we will be having our first conversation, which will be the COVID case in Cross River State. Stay with us.
Gender Agenda is where policy meets people. It's a bold policy literacy platform bridging the gap between decision makers and women across every sector. From parliament to politics, from leadership to governance, from peace to economy, development, human rights, from Nigeria to the rest of Africa, Gender Agenda amplifies voices too often excluded, ensuring every voice counts. Through compelling storytelling, social impact dialogue, thought-provoking documentaries, town halls that lean on data and research, we raise the bar. Gender Agenda, every Friday, 4:30 p.m. on AIT and on AIT's YouTube channel live.
My name is Adora Sidney Jack, and this is Gender Agenda.
Gender Agenda, women rising.
The issues as they break. The multitude, the political figures, the state and non-state actors.
It's a serious threat to democracy.
And our governments seem to be incapable of protecting.
The scheming.
This is not a period we should say bow and go. Every part of this country is equal.
The intrigues.
There can be no one person that is bigger than the party.
Deft moves and the momentous declaration.
We didn't get any protection. I'm not particularly against anybody.
We track and capture them all.
I don't believe we got for that reason in politics.
Follow in-depth analysis and no-holds-barred interviews.
Armed forces of the country is well capable. They need the political will.
Are they just waking up from sleep? Is there complacency?
Feel the pulse of happenings in the political arena on AIT Democracy Today. Widely acclaimed authority on politics. Monday to Friday, 7 p.m. Nigerian time. Focus Nigeria. It's a huge task, but we take it on.
Ask him where is the law. National Assembly is not doing hearing on insecurity in Nigeria. It is America that is doing hearing on insecurity in Nigeria.
Monday to Friday on Focus Nigeria, we identify the nagging issues.
Some people put people in poverty deliberate misplacement of priorities and brought people on their knees to suffer.
We seek answers to the tough challenges.
And because of
the former president,
yes.
What I know is that he has not turned his membership card. He has not been attending your meeting.
Leave that to us to deal with.
There's no shying away from the issues.
The system is held accountable. The leaders are accountable for the funds, for the resources that they manage.
No sitting on the fence.
The same thing that made you live where you are may confront you.
Focus Nigeria, 10 a.m., Monday to Friday on AIT.
Welcome back, and thank you everyone for joining us there. Now, Cross River State, we are reading that they have up to 11 cases of confirmed COVID cases now, but the ministry and the government is insisting that we have one case confirmed. So we'll have joining us this morning to give us situation report and updates as regards that, the Health Commissioner for Cross River State, Dr. Henry Ayuk. Good morning, Dr. Ayuk. Thank you for joining us on Kakaaki this morning.
Good morning.
All right. So could you...
How are you?
I'm fine, thank you. You made it today. We're glad.
Yes.
All right. Could you sort of sit back so we have a better view of you?
I hope
More like it. More like it. Thank you.
All right.
All right. Could you give us the update of confirmed COVID cases in your state right now, are you still staying with the lone case you agreed to have?
We have, good morning, and we're happy you are inviting us and to at least confirm the number of cases. We have one index case, and that has remained the case. We don't have any other cases. The rest of the cases, the rest of what is assumed to be cases are contacts that our team is investigating. So I don't know where that information came from. We have one case that reported and is on treatment. In fact, I was at the isolation center yesterday. He's about being discharged today or tomorrow. We have done the tests. We've collected samples from the 14 contacts that we have been able to identify. We have tested them. They have been tested, and all of them are negative. Even the index case has been retested and is also negative now. So that is the situation in the state. As you are aware, that index case came from China about 17th of last month. He was flown in from Lagos to Calabar, and from Calabar he went to the local government where he works. He's an expatriate Chinese. He reported with symptoms about a month later in their own facility clinic. The condition was not improving. He was taken to the teaching hospital. From the teaching hospital, samples were collected that came positive for him. He was admitted at the isolation center, and as I've said, I visited the place yesterday to assess the progress in the management of the case. He was doing very well, and he's off oxygen. Discharged today. So that is the situation. For us as a state, we have not said, okay, because there is just one index case, then we are folding our hands. We have responded adequately. We have reactivated our response center with all the pillars and subcommittees. They are working. The surveillance team is in the field. At Akam Park, we're ensuring that the contacts are enlisted and are put under house monitoring. When I say house monitoring, I'm talking about what we call also house isolation in their homes. Their movements are restricted while we monitor them for symptoms. And as I have earlier stated, we've gotten them tested, and all of them are negative.
Okay, Commissioner, we lost connection with you. We hope you are able to join us in no time. While in the meantime, we're discussing with Dr. Henry Ayuk, the Health Commissioner for Cross River State, and our conversations have been the resurfaced case of COVID.
Okay.
Yes, you're back. You could go on. Yes, I think you've given enough background to that lone case. The 10 more cases that the media is reporting, you said it's false, deliberate misinformation. What do you think we're talking about in the media? And have you been able to trace those cases? 10 more.
There are no cases. We don't have any case. I think the reporter Daily Trust, didn't understand what contacts were, and probably in the course of his engagement with my epidemiologist, and the epidemiologist must have told him that, well, we have listed 10 contacts, and they assumed that 10 contacts were 10 new cases. This is not true. In fact, for the purpose of creating awareness and understanding, there are basic 3 terms that we use in epidemiology in this kind of case. The first one is contact. Contacts are people that have had some intimate relationship with the case, with the patient. And then, so contact is not necessarily somebody who has the infection already. It's somebody who must have had contact with the person that is sick. The second one is a suspect, somebody that has symptoms that mimic the disease. For instance, if malaria is what is affecting you and you have fever, yes, and we know that fever is a symptom of malaria. Any other person having fever might not necessarily have fever, but it's a suspect. I mean, might not necessarily be malaria, but it's a suspect. The third one is the case itself, somebody who is manifesting full-blown disease. That those three things are not the same. So if the reporter has had contacts and has reported as cases, it's just unfortunate. We'll try to correct that. I was the one that held the press interview with the media, and I never said 10 cases. There was only one case that has come into the country. But even that case, one case, is as important as having even 10 cases. So we are treating that case with all required interventions and ensuring that contacts are traced to mitigate any further spread. So any case you have, even if it's one case, that is a risk to the whole world. Okay. So it's not because there are 10 cases. Yeah. Thank you.
All right. Dr. Ayuk, you remember that previously in 2019 when coronavirus, COVID, came into Nigeria, your predecessor at the time, Dr. Betta Edu, she had insisted that there was no case of COVID-19 in your state. And so cases will cross across Lagos, Abuja, everywhere in Nigeria, except for your beloved state, Cross River State. People are quite concerned that when you insist that it's a lone case you have, and the people who have come in contact with that person, 10 of them, have not contacted this, yet they're in isolation. I read your statement yesterday. It's looking like a repeated script for them yet again. Now you've accepted just a case, but maybe we're having a replay of 2019 when your health commissioner insisted there was no case reported in your state.
First, I am not Dr. Betta, and this regime is not that regime. His Excellency Prince Otu is outwardly a very friendly person, a people's first governor. He will not hide diseases. He will not delay disease implementation against any disease. So it pays me nothing. I'm a public health physician. I know the impact of delaying, hesitating, and denying. I mean, the public is at risk. I'm not just accepting one case. That is the only case that has been diagnosed in the lab. And NCDC is there to, is the umpire, is the one that confirms all this. So you can confirm from NCDC. That is the only case in Cross River. It's not me accepting. It is not, it's not an emotional thing. If there are cases, I've told you that even if there's one case, it's as important to us as 10 cases or even more. So I wouldn't have even accepted that there is one case if I didn't want you to know that there is COVID-19 in Cross River. It doesn't help anywhere. We have experts. We are working with international partners. Even at that this press conference you are trying to show, the international partners, WHO and so forth, who are working with me, and they are part of the team, the surveillance team, the people doing the contact tracing. You have partners there. If there is any case, if there's any case that we've not mentioned, they would have picked it out. So we are not denying. What purpose does it achieve? I'm a cross-Riverian, I'm a Nigerian. What does it achieve? To allow COVID-19 to come and then start destroying people, is that what I want? Certainly it is not true. So we are emphasizing again, and you can confirm from NCDC that there's, so far there is only one case, and we are not stopping there. We are ensuring that we are putting surveillance, system on ground in case another case appears. For instance, our facilities, health facilities in that local government have been activated to monitor for symptoms that mimic COVID. If they are, they will report. If we have another case, we would extend the scope of intervention. That is what we can do. That is what we owe Nigeria and the entire world.
Okay.
So for now, we have a case. That is all we can say from Cross River State Government.
All right, Honorable Commissioner, we understand that this first case, the admitted and confirmed case of a Chinese national, he came in from Lagos State. Have you extended some sort of contact tracing to Lagos, or do you have plans to do that?
We have NCDC. That is the National Coordinating Platform. And they are the ones that confirmed this case. The implementation, the design for the control of COVID-19 is not what we can say is the responsibility of one partner. For that case, we are doing our best as a state. But you see, that man flew. That man flew from China. It means China is a partner in this matter. Interacted with a lot of individuals in the plane, Nigeria. In Nigeria, at the airport, he had also he interacted with people. He flew in from Lagos he had interaction with partners, with fellow passengers and so forth. So when you look at all this, you see the various partners, stakeholders that are involved. So it's expected. I cannot, as a state government, for instance, enter the airport, which is controlled by the federal government, and start asking for some quarantine measures. So it is the responsibility now of the state, of the federal government, and of partners to ensure that at various points in time, they are all involved. So since the case has been made public, it has been confirmed by the coordinating body in the country that the notification of the various partners will be informed, will not take place accordingly, so that people can be investigated beyond just Cross River State.
Okay, we hear you, but looking that this is not a Nigerian who left state A to state B, being Cross River State now, what does this mean when it comes to the rigorous checks that we used to have at entry point, maybe at airport or even into the country? Does it mean that we've gone to that? Because we're thinking that this should have been the
not been eradicated in the world. So there is no reason a relaxation or desire to think that this disease has been eradicated in the world. So every intervention, every preventive measure should still be in place at all points of check, including the airports. Secondly, let me say clearly that emphasis should not be only on the Chinese. That the person came from China does not mean that he had the infection from China. We have kept him. He came about a month ago, and the incubation period for this disease is 14 days. In other words, what we are saying is that if you have contact and exposure to this infection and you contact you get it, it will take you about 14 days maximum, even sometimes less, down to 2 days to have that infection. If the symptoms don't appear after 14 days, it also means that it's unlikely that you have that infection. So this man reported a month after. In other words, way beyond the 14 days that he returned from China. It suggests that probably either he was having some clinical, subclinical symptoms which he didn't report, or that he had contact with the infection here in Nigeria. So it means that the two options are possible. One, that he brought it from China. The second one is had the contact here in Nigeria and he got infected. That is why the investigations are continuing in Cross River to reach out to as many people as possible and then activate those surveillance activities in the various facilities to fish out symptoms that mimic this disease. So, because it is very likely that that infection may not have been brought in from another country, but here in this country. But that is a possibility. So we are doing our best. I'm trying to let you know that in response to your question, we would need to ensure that, first and foremost, that everybody is involved. And not to think that because he's a Chinese, that he brought the thing from China. China is a high spot because originally the thing started from China. So it's a high spot that even if you be present anywhere with fever, with a cough, with a sore throat, and you are from China, the first thing is to also think that you're having COVID-19, because that is where the source came initially. And I'm sure that was what inspired the investigation towards COVID-19 here for this particular in this case. So what I'm trying to say, is that we as Nigeria, we must be able to address this basic fact that COVID-19 has not been eradicated. And so whatever systems were put in place, this is a lesson for us to ensure that we go and reactivate them.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you too. Dr. Ayuk, I hear you, but the Cross River State government, as well as the NCDC, they've both said that there is no cause for alarm, even with recording this case. But listening to you, that the Chinese may not have entered Nigeria infected, it means that it could have been anywhere around Nigeria from Lagos where he came in through. I'm concerned, or should we be afraid or cautious that that assurance still stands? Is this not something to be afraid of if I hear you say that it may not have entered the country with the infection?
You see, let me say one thing. When we say there is no alarm, when we say there is no alarm, we are not saying that people should not have should not be thinking that there is absence of disease. We're not saying so. We are saying that we are prepared to address every outbreak. We are prepared to ensure, but people must also have a responsibility. We have not progressed to the stage of the lockdown of 2021. We have not progressed to that stage. That is what we are saying. There is no alarm. That is why we are also on the part of government. If you say there is no alarm, you must also provide evidence to the people of what you are doing to ensure that people are not necessarily affected at the end of the day. So that is what NCDC is saying, and that is what I'm saying, and that is what the government of Cross River is saying, that there is no alarm for now. And we are doing our best to ensure that people, we don't progress to the stage of the lockdown. We are advising that people keep also to the public health regulations at all times. We are ensuring that people are taking care of their bodies, their basic hygiene conditions should be upgraded. They should be washing their hands at any time as frequently as possible. They should be able to wear face mask. Yesterday I carried a face mask in my office, but I'm in the privacy of my room. Yeah, so I can keep that off. So as much as possible, let us be able to reintroduce those styles, those lifestyles that will check any disease, not only COVID-19, even malaria. Keep your environment clean, and so forth. These are basic things. It doesn't really tell people that we have gone back to the lockdown stage where everybody you see is a suspect. No, we have not gone to that stage. We are doing our best as a public health measure to ensure that this COVID-19 that has come, whichever has resurfaced, we trace it to the real cause, what is happening.
All right, Honorable Commissioner, you remember that in 2019, when this first broke in Nigeria, we had different variants to deal with, some of them being SARS-CoV-2. We also had the Omicron descendant lineages and all of those. Have you been able to confirm what strain this is? Is this a new one, or is it the one we're familiar with? And maybe the intensity, of course.
Yeah, thank you so much. We're yet to confirm that from the result, but I'm sure in the next 1 or 2 days we'll get available and then shared with the public. That question is important, and that is why we are saying for now there is no cause for alarm. The last time we had the incidents, the high peak of COVID-19, you remember there was mass vaccination, because we knew the strains that we're dealing with. Now that, because of that mass vaccination, what we normally refer as herd immunity of the community that has been impacted because of the vaccination has become high against COVID-19. That is not as easy for you to contact COVID-19 as it was before 2021. So because of that, the society is relatively safer than before. Now that we have a sort like we have now, it's also important fact that if it is true that it's not a new strain, it means probably we may have to review what we have done so far with the vaccination, with the mass vaccination. But if it's a new one, it also tells us that probably there is need also to adjust and ensure that that new strain is addressed appropriately through mass vaccination. So these are the things we are addressing currently, and I'm sure that when we are fully certain with the strain, with the results for, the right strain that is causing the present problem, we should be able to go further.
Okay, Honorable Commissioner, I also hear you say that part. However, allow me bring in some comment from our viewers who are watching on Africa Independent TV. In the meantime, just to say that Kakaaki Social will come in a bit. I'll read this from Victor Tahimba at Africa Independent TV. He says, what is the name to call this COVID, 19 or 26? I'm not sure there is anything like COVID in Nigeria now. What people are suffering from is hunger, acute malaria, and typhoid fever and depression. But the part I would like that you listen to or you react to is this one from Victor Taimba. It says, last time, COVID-19 became an interstate league, especially between Lagos and Kano State, on who has highest because of the international funds. Let that 419 not drag us back again. That viewer sees this as, well, even the one case that has been confirmed is not exactly a case. It's for the attention from donors, according to Victor Tahimba on our YouTube channel right now. How do you respond to this?
Fine. You see, I wouldn't like us to drag issues that are of very vital, importance to politics and all those issues. They don't help us. If there is corruption, there can be corruption if anything. If there is whatever thing you want to imagine, but the point remains that HIV, for instance, came, and people felt that the truth is that there is malaria, there is HIV. COVID came, and people were competing, according to him, for who has more cases or not. If I was interested in making money also, probably I would have accepted that there are 10 cases. But we are not interested in that. There are Nigerians that are really, truly conscious and interested in Nigeria. And I think my governor is one of such persons. He will not allow me stay here 1 second if he discovers that there is something going on that is fishy in this ministry. He has his ears all over the place, even with international corporations. So please, we have, and of course, is it possible for us to bring a Chinese and who is doing, as you are doing there, and is a very enlightened Chinese, to accept any kind of
All right, we hope to re-establish connection with him. Oh yes, you're back.
Yes. So we have HIV. I mean, we have COVID-19 in the country, and like I said, is it possible to have push a Chinese, expatriate with all the knowledge to accept that he's a patient and to subject him to that vigor? Of course, he would have died if he had not been tested positive, and the appropriate treatment said that he was on oxygen cylinder per second. So who would subject himself to that kind of thing because you want to enrich another person? I think while I don't disagree with, I can't disagree with any opinion held in that perspective. But in the context, what we are doing, that there are sincere Nigerians, and my government is one of those group of people that are interested in ensuring that what is right is done. We cannot. There's no reason for us to hide information or to manipulate for the purpose of gain. We've started this program, so far investigating this matter. I've not seen any contribution from any partner yet. Is the cost has been borne essentially by the government of this state.
All right, Honorable Commissioner, thank you so much for being there. But as we call it a day on the conversation now,
thank you so much.
What's your message to cross-river people and Nigerians at large? We hear that you say there is no cause for alarm, which you try to define. When this came in 2019, we learned, social distancing, stay away from crowded areas and all. So now as you leave, what would you say the people of your beloved state should do?
First and foremost, let us be true to ourselves that COVID-19 is not been eradicated in the world, not only in Cross River. So because it has not been eradicated, we must ensure that those public health regulations, as much as possible, the one we can apply, let us apply as much as possible. You don't have, even if you don't have COVID-19, it doesn't mean that you cannot keep your hands clean. You cannot wash your hands. You go to the toilet every time, to urinate every time. Why can't you learn immediately after that to keep your hands clean? There are a lot of rare diseases that are all over the place. So why can't you cover your food and all those things? There are flies that are touching fishes and coming to touch your food. Keep yourself clean. It's not because of COVID-19 alone. Social distancing is also important. There are many diseases that are contacted by contact, not only COVID-19. So in all, I mean, COVID-19 just came to open our eyes and understanding on what we can do to protect ourselves against rampant diseases, particularly among us who are living in very underdeveloped societies. So my appeal is to reinforce the fact that there is no alarm, yet we have not reached the stage of the lockdown. So it is important for us to ensure some basic hygiene lifestyles within us. I can assure Cross Riverians on behalf of my boss, the governor of Cross River, that we are not in the state yet, in the stage where you can feel that you are beginning to get fear. We have a very strong public health system in Cross River State, a surveillance system that is not only addressing issues of COVID-19, we are having weekly meetings where the emergency control system, is able to notify us of diseases that are coming up or disappearing.
All right.
Mpox, malaria, HIV, and so forth. We're taking them collectively. If there is any case that emerges, we will let the public know.
We're looking forward to that and to see that no further cases are reported. Thank you so much, Dr. Henry Ayuk, Health Commissioner across River State. You've joined us to give us an updated situation of the number of confirmed cases in your state. Thank you so much. We're looking forward to the full recovery of the Chinese national and to see that we do not have a second case. Do have yourself a good day.
Thank you, ma. Thank you. I'm grateful.
All right, from there we take a short break, and when we return, it would be Kakaaki Social.
The stories now break online. Don't miss anything from our real-time updates and exclusive content. Follow and participate in discussions on live TV studio programs to shape the narratives. Subscribe, engage, and share from AIT.live at AIT_online on X, AIT Online on Facebook, Official AIT Live on Instagram, TikTok, and Threads on YouTube. Stay connected with AIT. On air, online, on live.
Gender Agenda is where policy meets people. It's a bold policy literacy platform bridging the gap between decision makers and women across every sector. From parliament to politics, from leadership to governance, from peace to economy, development, human rights. From Nigeria to the rest of Africa, Gender Agenda amplifies voices too often excluded, ensuring every voice counts. Through compelling storytelling, social impact dialogue, thought-provoking documentaries, town halls that lean on data and research, we raise the bar. Gender Agenda, every Friday, 4:30 p.m. on AIT and on AIT's YouTube channel live.
My name is Adora Sydney Jack, and this is Gender Agenda.
Gender Agenda. Women rising.
The stories now break online. Don't miss anything from our real-time updates and exclusive content. Follow and participate in discussions on live TV studio programs to shape the narratives. Subscribe, engage, and share from AIT.live at AIT_online on X, AIT Online on Facebook, Official AIT Live on Instagram, TikTok, and Threads on YouTube. Stay connected with AIT. On air, online, on live.
Happy Friday and welcome to Kakaaki Social. The weekend is calling, but first of all, let's dive into what is making waves online. I am Chidera Izudoyi. Now, the Senate President Ababio has expressed hope for an end to insurgency in Nigeria, while also defending a major infrastructure loan request before the National Assembly. The President of the Senate, Godswill Ababio, says his constant prayer is for God to bring an end to insurgency in Nigeria before the end of the year. Now, Ababio made this remark while addressing stakeholders, stressing that insecurity remains one of the country's greatest challenges. He also noted that restoring peace across affected regions is critical to national development and progress. In a related development, Ababio has also thrown his weight behind a loan request submitted by President Bola Ahmed Tinubu to the National Assembly. The president is seeking approval to secure $516.3 million in syndicated financing from Dutch Bank for the construction of the Sokoto-Badagry Super Highway project. Now, Ababio defended this proposal, describing the project as strategic, with the potential to boost economic activities, to improve national connectivity, and to strengthen trade corridors across the country. Let's see Ababio's video.
God should end insurgency in Nigeria this year. my prayer always is that God should end insurgency in Nigeria this year, and that we should defeat insurgency. And I know, by the grace of God, insurgency shall be defeated. Darkness can last for a period, but when the morning comes, light must come, and light will come for all Nigerians. So I sympathize with all those, the families of the victims, Kakaaki, and seconded by distinguished Senator Yar'Adua. I say aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it. Well, let me join the Deputy Senate Presidents to thank the movers of this motion, distinguished Senator Mongono, distinguished Senator Ndume, distinguished Senator Kakaaki, and to say that we sympathize with the victims and also sympathize with even those who mistook the situation that led to this calamity. The Deputy Senate President has said it all. Efforts are being made by the federal government to avert any future reoccurrence. And my prayer always is that in this difficult...
Thank you very much.
So I join you and my colleagues to commend Mr. President that in these difficult times, when we don't really have money, that it is better to borrow for projects. It's better to borrow for infrastructure so that at the end of the day, we'll have something to see. And then we can pay through even the infrastructure. Repayment can be done through the infrastructure. So this is highly commendable. And I urge the Committee on Local and Foreign Debts to do a job and bring it back to us for expeditious approval.
Okay, let's see what netizens are saying concerning this. Now, God's will is saying, Mr. Senate President, our situation is far beyond prayers. Stop corruption among yourselves and let's support our young boys and girls currently engaging those criminals, and let's start creating jobs for them. As say, idle man is the devil's workshop. And another user is saying, this country is in a state of emergency. People are being kidnapped and slaughtered daily. He's talking about insurgency. They have killed almost all our soldiers. These people don't know what they are doing. And we have another user says, prayer without an actual work is useless. You guys have offered next to nothing in the struggle for a better Nigeria without insecurity, releasing people who caused menace in the society and having to get more people join them. And one more user in that reaction says, whichever God you believe in has already equipped us with the resources and manpower to fight insurgency. Government should take action and stop this. You have your own security personnel and want to pray for the nation. A big shift. Okay, now, another reaction says, if it is a good country where the leaders are serious and not stomach infrastructure, the unaccountable funds by the NNPC could have been more than enough. Now, the Inspector General of Police, Olatunji Disu, has addressed officers at the Squadron Commanders Training Program held at the PMF Training College, End Hills. Now, this training committee, which brought together squadron commanders from across the country, focused on enhancing tactical leadership, discipline, and operational effectiveness within the police mobile force. Now, let's see what Disu has done and what netizens are saying concerning this development. A lot of persons, let's see the other slide. Let's see what people are saying. The former slide has a very unique picture that people commented on before. Now, this is the slide. And this guy, the other police guy wearing blue and black, a lot of persons came on the comment section and said a lot of things concerning the police force and the weight of a policeman in the police force. Now, let's see what netizens are saying on X. Now, this is saying, there is no way you can hold a pistol like that and actually hit your target. They do not even understand the basics. It makes you wonder what they are training for if the IG cannot even position himself properly without doing target practice. Okay, now Free Gift is saying, so they just joined the police and and no one cares to check if they are above a given weight in service. Now, that guy's weight was causing a lot of commotion on social media. Let's continue with our reactions. And what GML is saying, Nigerian security forces really need to work on their PR. How can such caliber of police officers be shooting a handheld weapon system in that range without any air defenders or protection? With the shaking my head emoji. And Chuck is saying, Nigerian security personnel and pictures there, laugh emoji. Anyway, I hope they come and mop up the scary-looking ones standing jobless at a taboo roundabout, Asaba. Also, he was really saying something about that other police officer, but let us continue. Now, the federal government says Nigeria remains firmly committed to promoting global peace and strengthening partnerships across the world. In a tweet by the president, he expressed concern over recent attacks targeting civilians and economic infrastructure in the United Arab Emirates. The president also conveyed his solidarity with the president of UAE, Mohammed bin Zayed Al Nahyan, commending measures taken to safeguard civilian population and to protect critical infrastructure. Let's see our president's tweet. The next tweet is the tweet of our president. The next slide, please, where our president made a tweet. Okay, now let us continue. The former Minister of Power, Bayo Adelabu, continues to make headlines in Ibadan. Now, his video of controlling traffic across the state has sparked a lot of reactions on social media. Persons have come to say, why will the former Minister of Finance, who recently stopped his role, receive a hero's welcome upon his return in Ibadan? Supporters and residents trooped out in large numbers, lining major roads from the airport to his residence, cheering and celebrating his arrival. Now, eyewitnesses described the atmosphere as electrifying with chants and music. In a recent and related development, Adelabu was later spotted in a surprising scene, personally directing traffic in parts of Ibadan. According to witnesses, he actively managed vehicle movement in a busy area, helping to ease congestion and to restore order on the road. Let's see this video. Okay, now let's go to our reactions. Dutch Empire is saying if only he had used the Power Ministry as a good CV, I am sure nobody will complain. He wouldn't even need to do much convincing and showboating. But see now, he has to stress over what he had an opportunity to take up with ease. The struggle continues. I wish him all the best. And another user says the ex-Minister of Power was only successful in transmitting darkness to Nigerians. The big question is, what is his legacy as a former Minister of Power in Nigeria? And we have another user who is saying the former Minister of Power now directing traffic in Ibadan. Bros couldn't even give us light, but he won't give us traffic control. Next level, now to start selling roasted plantain by the roadside. We did watch. And we have one more user who says, why are you all blaming these people? I'm very sure that 97 of them hailing him don't even know who he is. Many are hailing him because he is a rich man and he is going to spray them money. Now let us continue. Okay, now, the president of Kenya, William Ruto, has fired back at comments made by Nigeria's President Bola Ahmed Tinubu regarding Kenya's economy. Ruto, in a pointed remark, defended his country's standard, stating that Kenya's education system and command of English language are strong. He also added that anyone listening to a Nigerian speak English might even require a translator, a statement that has since sparked widespread reactions online and across diplomatic circles. Now, because of want of time, this is where we draw the curtain on today's segment. And I hope to see you next time, same time next week. Thank you for staying with us through all the trends and conversations. See you same time next week. My name is Chidera Izudoyi.
Baba, they always say, for market, every day gets your own wahala. Sometimes people go on scam you. But Baba say, no be by gra gra. You must cool down, dey sharp. Because with OPay payment, your money go enter sharp, sharp, no story. But inside market, anything fit happen. One day, we no see phone again. My baba remember OPay USSD lock, dial *955*131#. Baba press am, lock account. From market woman to driver, from small boy to big man. Now OPay, they protect people like us. My baba fit sell, press phone, collect POS, and still they teach me price. And when they don't tire am, go just tap OPay night guard. We no fear for this our hustle life. Now OPay be the people payment shield.
TerraQ, unwrap joy, unleash taste.
The issues as they break. The multitude, the political figures, the state and non-state actors.
It's a serious threat to democracy.
And our government seem to be incapable of protecting
the scheming.
This is not a period we should say bow and go. Every part of this country is equal.
The intrigues.
There can be no one person that is bigger than the party.
Deft moves and the momentous declaration.
We didn't get any protection. I'm not particularly against anybody.
We track and capture them all.
I don't believe in godfatherism in politics.
Follow in-depth analysis and no-holds-barred interviews.
Armed forces of the country is well capable. They need the political will.
Are they just waking up from sleep? Is there complacency?
Feel the pulse of happenings in the political arena on AIT Democracy Today. Widely acclaimed authority on politics. Monday to Friday, 7 p.m. Nigerian time.
Focus Nigeria. It's a huge task, but we take it on.
Ask him where is the law. National Assembly is not doing hearing on insecurity in Nigeria. It is America that is doing hearing on insecurity in Nigeria.
Monday to Friday on Focus Nigeria, we identify the nagging issues.
So people put people in poverty deliberately, deliberate misplacement of priorities, and brought people on their knees to suffer.
We seek answers to the tough challenges.
And because of for the former president, yes, what I know is that he has not turned his membership card. He has not been attending your meeting.
Leave that to us to deal.
There's no shying away from the issues.
The system is held accountable. The leaders are accountable for the funds, for the resources that they manage.
No sitting on the fence.
The same thing that made you live where you are may confront you.
Focus Nigeria, 10 a.m., Monday to Friday on AIT.
Gender Agenda is where policy meets people. It's a bold policy literacy platform bridging the gap between decision makers and women across every sector. From parliament to politics, from leadership to governance, from peace to economy, development, human rights, from Nigeria to the rest of Africa, Gender Agenda amplifies voices too often excluded, ensuring every voice counts. Through compelling storytelling, social impact dialogue, thought-provoking documentaries, town halls that lean on data and research, we raise the bar. Gender Agenda, every Friday, 4:30 p.m. on AIT and on AIT's YouTube channel live.
My name is Adora Sydney Jack, and this is Gender Agenda.
Gender Agenda, women rising.
All right, everyone, thank you so much for being there and welcome back to the program. If you joined us at 6 a.m. when we started, we did mention that our second conversation today will be around the reserved seat for women's bill, and that's because if you even need to know, the reserved seat bill or even the special seat bill is proposed constitutional amendment that will reserve special seats for women. It is still contestable and not an appointment. It's supposed to last for 16 first years and see what is made of that. Now, for Joining us is Obiajulu Ugo, Deputy Chief Whip, Enugu State House of Assembly, who's joining us virtually to look at this conversation. Good morning. Thank you for joining us on AIT.
Good morning.
All right, let's start. We've heard and seen watchers of these developments say that the clamor for the seats for women are of mixed views, and that's for them. The progress made so far in getting it is not progress enough. What would you say about that?
Okay, thank you very much. Good morning, Nigeria. I always have mixed feelings talking about the reserve seat bill, because we make it look as if we're begging for something, but this is not charity. The reserve seat bill is not charity. It is a right, and it is an intentional strategy for a national development. And so far, there are questions, there are confusions, there are lashbacks on the reserve seat bill. You see people say, is that not technism? Is that not favoritism? Is it not handing over something to women that they are not capable of handling? But you cannot play in an uneven field. So the reserve seat bill, let me recap and let me mention again what the reserve seat bill is all about. First of all, we have just 54 seats out of 990 seats in the state houses of assembly. Come to the National Assembly at the Green Chambers, we have just 16 out of 360 seats in the parliament. And at the Red Chamber, we have 4 out of 106. Imagine what that is, less than 5%, less than about 3-point-something% of representation of women in the Nigerian parliament. Yet, the Nigerian population is made up of about 50% of women in it. How do you think that that is a fair representation of over 50, almost 50% of the populace, having just less than 5% in the parliament, in the decision-making table where things concerning them are shaped? Now, the reserve seat bill is asking for something very simple. We are just asking for an intentional change, in an intentional reform in our constitution that is not intended to be permanent. We just want to, do this for 4 rounds, 4 election cycles, that is 16 years. See what the outcome will be, see how to level up. So what are we looking at in the with the reserve seat bill? The reserve seat bill is looking for having extra seats in the Senate per state, 1 extra seat per state. That will make, plus the FCT, that will make 37, adding up to the 106 or 109 that we already have existing. And then for the Green Chambers, we'll also do the same. We're also asking for the same thing, 1 seat per state and 1 in the FCT, that is 37 seats. And in the state houses of assembly, we're looking for 3 seats, that is 1 per senatorial zone. Now, these seats are not coming to, we're not coming to take away anybody's position. Women are still allowed to contest in other seats, or other available seats, while these ones are reserved. So some people ask questions like, so which constituency are we going to remove or reserve for women now? No, it is just a plan to make sure that there is at least a manageable number of representation in the parliament. So it is going to be the women constituency. So the reserve seat bill does not want to unseat anyone. It does not want to throw anyone out. But for a very long time, Nigeria and most other countries, women have played at the background. And so we're saying that the men have the capacity, be that they have been in the system for a very long time, and that has provided an uneven playing ground. So let us allow these women to come up for 16 years, see what we can be able to achieve. Now, coming to the cost of running the extra seats in the parliament, people will say, is it not much more if we want to, for those who have understood what the reserve seat bill is all about, they begin to argue. So we are talking about our budget, our appropriation is not going to increase the costs for running. I mean, running governance already is on a high cost, and by the time you check what this extra seats is just going, it's just going to take less than or about 1% of running cost of governance. It's not too much to ask, and I think that this is the right time. We're just a few weeks to the primaries, and this bill has passed the second reading. We're waiting for the bill to be voted for, and I just think that there is no better time for the National Assembly and for Nigerians to support the passage of this reserved seat bill. Just few weeks to the primaries that will lead us into the 2027 election. Let's actually see. Let's give women a chance and then see what differences we can be able to make, just like we have in countries who have done or who have used this intentionality of bringing in the reserve seat bill. Countries like Uganda, countries like India, we have Tanzania, and we also have Rwanda. Nigeria can also do the same, and I'm very, very sure that we'll be glad if we do this.
Okay, such an explicit and insightful way, foundation to start right there. While you spoke, you talked about level playing field, and people talking about reserved seat bill have also argued that this is tokenism, and you also agree, or you mentioned partly, the cost of accommodating more parliamentarians across states and national assemblies. But let's look at it. It seems that we're making progress with this already, because yesterday on the floor of the Green Chamber, we had a motion that was moved by Honorable Jesse Oke-Ojo that said that this has to be given an accelerated hearing. Is that not a way forward?
Probably that is a way forward, and I celebrate Right Honorable Ojo, who raised that motion. I also celebrate all men who are supporting the reserve seat. I mean, during the public hearing, my governor outrightly supported, His Excellency Barrister Dr. Peter Ndubisimba supported the reserve seat bill. And we saw how that raised conversations around the reserve seat bill for people in my state, Enugu State. My governor said, I wasn't there when the last elections was conducted, but I am going to make sure that we see more women in appointive position. That is what he could do as a 2023. And he did that. About 50% of his ESCOs are women. And you could see, I can mention in my states, you can see that most of the thriving parastatals are where women are in the leadership. Now, for the honorable member who moved the motion, that is very laudable. I just pray that all will listen to him and pay attention so that is even. I mean, in Nigeria, of this bill, not just passing it, not just sweeping it, let's do it, maybe we can do it. This is the best time. There is no better time to pass the reserve seat bill. So I am asking that beyond just the honorable member who moved this motion, that others too will lend their voice and make sure that this bill is passed at the right time, just before the primaries, not just being passed, assented to, so that it can be implemented, beyond the political will of wanting to bring on the bill, first reading, second reading, public hearing. hearing and then the passage. There is the implementation. There is need for this bill to be passed at this time so that women can actually join the race for this 2027. So I once again, I thank the honorable member who moved that motion. And I also plead that others would join their voices, lend their voices in giving that bill an expedited passage.
All right. Now, aside the words of encouragement that you've heard, you are quite concerned about primaries, which, yes, primaries started yesterday, officially April 23rd, and they are to last until May 30. But from what we know about primaries, party primaries, maybe no political party holds their primaries, say, the first 2 weeks into the window, because party A is waiting for party B to say, this is my candidate officially, and then so they see if there is a room for them to make a little adjustments to whom they hope to present as their candidate and their flag bearer. But what work do you think needs to be urgently done? At least let the women be able to meet up with the reserved seat and with primaries, really, when this is eventually passed and if it's passed.
Okay, so women are already in the spaces. They are already in political parties, both the major political parties, both the smaller political parties. Women are just standing by and waiting to be given entrance because one of the major challenges for women is the funding of getting into, the primaries, what is required beyond even getting the ticket or the nominations. There are a lot of other, tiny things surrounding the primaries for the women. So I will say that women are ready. Women are standing by. We want the bill passed so that we can have the opportunity to actually launch these women into the contest. I don't think there is anything left on the side of the women as per preparations towards the primaries that will lead into the elections.
All right, so when we started the conversation, you did mention other African countries where this is practiced. Say Kenya, for example. We also have South Africa as an example that have adopted this similar procedure and measure prescribed by the bill here in Nigeria. How does it work in these places? Would you like to speak to that? And what's the guarantee that that's enough standard to see that it must be replicated in Nigeria?
Okay, so let's look at countries like Rwanda. I mentioned Rwanda, and I know that Rwanda has almost 50% of their parliament as women, as females. If you check the development of Rwanda, if you check the runnings in Rwanda, if you check their economic growth, you will see that since the inception of having the women in the parliament, up to the number that can make input on the policies, on the laws, there is a significant positive difference. Because the women are the ones who build the nation. The women will help, respond to key issues that will form the society or that forms the society. Things like security, things like agriculture, things like health. You see that these things have very good legislation, very good policies attached to them. Because, it is the women who, when you talk about childbirth mortality rate, when you even talk about the general mortality, it is the women who bear the brunt most. So you see that when women are in the parliament, when they are in the policy-making space, they are most likely going to make policies that they are making in Rwanda policies that affect their health positively, the agriculture, which is very important, and then the economic growth generally. So we are saying that if we have this same thing in Nigeria, if Nigeria replicates a good number of parliamentarians, policymakers, because there is no society without laws. It is the laws that we use to run the society. So the laws that we make determines how the society grows or how it doesn't grow. So we've seen this work in Rwanda. I mean, Rwanda has the most peaceful environment. Their health system is working. Their security, you can walk around Rwanda any time of the night without any fear of any form of insecurity. So we want to see these things work to in Nigeria. So if we have parliamentarians who are female, who have these feelings, make laws, make policies that will affect security growth, economy, I believe that there will be a very big difference. In fact, studies have even shown that if we allow women to come into parliament based on antecedents, based on how much they have contributed in Nigeria, that we will be expecting a maximum of, I think, 35% or about GDP, economic growth in our country. So it's very, very timely. It's very important that we emulate this, our brother or sister Africa countries, in allowing the bill to pass so that women can have their reserved seat and run with it in the coming elections.
All right, Honorable Go, let's see some of the critics coming even from the female community. We've heard that there are women also who do not even support this bill. I don't know how much of a problem that you see this, but then again, one argument would be that this is undemocratic. If you talk about a level playing field for everybody, it means that we should have equal space, equal opportunities, regardless of the gender. That's an argument right there. What do you say of that? People who say giving women special seats, making the space softer, according to them, is undemocratic.
Okay, so I'm going to draw a scenario now. What these people are saying can be likened to asking myself to go to a tap and fetch water and struggle for line, for queue to get water with a vulnerable person, say a blind person. So the blind person would have sat for a very long time on the queue, and probably the queue, the water is almost about, I'm talking about the public tap, and maybe there's a timing for water to run, and this person has been sitting for a very long time, and I come as a strong, full-fledged person, hands, legs, eyes, everything complete, and I am asked to go and struggle, to hustle and get water with this vulnerable person. What do you think will happen? Who is going to get more water? Who is going to be able to get the water? This is exactly what we are saying. It is likened to what we are when people say it's going to be tokenism and it's going to be. No, it's not. The men have always told us that our place. I mean, yesterday I was even having a conversation and someone said you are supposed to be seen and not heard. She was taught in school that as a lady, you're supposed to be seen and not heard. And so oftentimes we are the majority. We have the numbers, but we are meant to understand that we're not supposed to be in the leadership space. So when a woman even has that passion, when a woman has that calling to be in the leadership space, you hear things like from the cultural limitations, the religious religious limitations begins to come in. And this has happened over a long period of time. And the men have continued to, to build their capacity. They've continued to all-round capacity financially, all-round networking. And right now, the women have not always been in that space because we've always been made to, to stay back, be in the kitchen, be in the family, be a woman, just be a woman. You
and
can't
even in
tell
the
me,
other room.
but you can, even in the...
All right. Honorable, it looks like a good place to call it a day. Thank you so much for your insight on today's conversation, looking at the reserved seats for Women's Bill. We'll be talking to the Deputy Chief Whip of the Enugu State House of Assembly, Honorable Obiajulu Ugo. Thank you, and do enjoy your weekend.
Thank you very much for having me.
All right. Well, we're looking forward to the passage of that bill, hopefully, fingers crossed, so that the women could at least organize for their primaries, which is already counting down 2 days in officially. All right, everyone, at this point, it is entertainment and lifestyle on Kakaaki, the African Voice.
It's time to turn up the vibe from celebrity buzz to style, culture, and everything in between. This is your go-to spot for entertainment and lifestyle, and I am Chidera Ezudoi. Now let's get right into it. Our guest today is a creative force redefining how we see the world through art. Born in Nigeria and now based in London, Chiaka Merenini, who is professionally known as Mary Charles, is a visual artist and illustrator whose work goes far beyond aesthetics. For over a decade, he has honed a self-taught craft that blends digital and mixed media techniques with powerful storytelling through collaborations with international organizations. Now, ladies and gentlemen, let us welcome Merenini Charles.
Hi.
Hi, how are you doing?
I'm good. I'm doing okay.
I know I've done a little bit of introduction, but tell us, who is Merenini Charles?
Merenini Chiaka is a creative who loves to create stuff. I'm an Igbo boy from Nigeria, and although many people don't know, but I didn't study art in school. I did science for my bachelor's and went further to do urban planning for my master's. But I love to create and I love art. That's who Mary Charles is.
What drew you into art? Because it's a whole new shift from science and now to art. It reminds me of myself. But then you is who we are talking about. What drew you into art, and how did it all begin for you?
I think what drew me into art started from my primary school days. I was in love with always sketching and drawing human forms, especially in basic science, like the one they call biology. So I was always excited to always sketch and draw either the animals or plants, and how fascinating it is to describe those organs or those parts of the figure you're drawing at that point. And I had classmates that were always very happy to come to me to say, could you help me draw this? Could you help me create this? So for me, it wasn't art at that point. It was just something fascinating that I could do with my hands. And that was like the beginning for me, how I got into art.
Okay, now growing up in Nigeria and now living in London, how do you see the two environments? Can you compare the Nigerian environment and the London environment, and how it projects your artistic voice?
I grew up in the eastern part of Nigeria, and art is not very, very much influenced over there. And I had to move over to the west, Lagos, where I was influenced a little bit more. In London, it's quite different. In London, they promote art very well. In London, there is funds, there is people influencing art, there are organizations, there are schools. And it's not just British art. They explore diversity, even Nigerian art. And for London, living in London, it's quite very interesting. If you're an artist and you move to London, it encourages you to continue your practice. So, but then I wouldn't rule the fact that a lot of the interest also shaped my form from Nigeria.
So you often turn complex ideas into visual narratives. Can you walk us through how you bring your visual narratives, how you bring it into life, how do you bring whatever thing you have in your head into life? Just in split seconds, just summarize what you do. How does it come to life?
Most of the time when it has to do with proper meaning, it comes with, people don't know this, but it comes with like research. Then it comes with like sketching out those ideas for it to reflect what you're thinking. Because nowadays we are creating art not just for aesthetics, we are creating it to have meaning in life, to have meaning to people who view it. So the beginning of all artworks that I create always starts with, what is it going to do to the viewers? Like, what positive impact is it going to bring? So we always start with research. We always start with like sketch and ideas.
Yeah, and your art touches mental health. Why is this so personal and important to you? Because you chose mental health as your niche for your artwork. Why did you choose mental health? Why is it important to you?
So it's one, I'm a multidisciplinary artist, and mental health is just one out of many others. I also use my art to advocate for environment.
Okay.
I also use my art to advocate for expressions. But under mental health, there is what art does to people who go through mental issues. It helps change the concept of ideas that people have. I've done research where art was able to like reform people who were very, very, very violent. There is how it could twist your mind to make you feel a little bit calm. So I've been trying to push my artistic practice into forming a pattern that could help people in the health sector and people who need mental health reevaluations. Most of the time, we do a lot of workshops. We do a lot of seminars. So people campaigns. Okay. So we give insight to what the artwork means from the beginning. People who love art could tell the difference. Sometimes when you see artworks that are made for aesthetics, you could tell. Okay. But artworks that are made for like purpose, you could actually tell from how it's being created, the forms, the write-ups, the sketches, everything, the paints. We like to create it in the way people would be asking, what message does it pass?
Yeah.
And from that, you could then get like proper meaning and proper form of what that art actually means.
Okay, now, have you been in a situation where you are tempted or you're forced to choose between promoting the Nigerian culture and promoting the UK culture? Have you been in that?
For now, I'm not representing any country. You get, my artwork hasn't gone far as representing either United Kingdom or Nigeria. But because I'm Nigerian, I would say it could span more of a Nigerian art. But when I create my artworks, it doesn't show just Nigerian art, especially when I create artworks that involves expressions. It has to do with everyone.
Now, finally, what is your word of advice to a young artist that wants to do what you do?
I would say they should be very, very, very consistent. There are different times of my life where there were so many reasons why I would have stopped creating art. Like, for example, I didn't study art in school. I'm a self-taught artist. But I was able to push beyond the limit as far as it's your passion, as far as it is what you're interested in doing. You should chase it no matter what.
Okay, now this is where we say thank you so much, Mary Charles, for your conversations, for your inspirations, thought-provoking words. And it shows also to encourage the young people that, just like you said, science all through, and then you're delving into arts completely. It is an amazing thing, and you're being consistent. And this is me saying thank you for being our guest on this show.
Thank you.
Okay, and that's it for entertainment and lifestyle on Kakaaki, the African Voice. I am Chidera Izudoye. Do not forget to stay jiggy.
Thank you so much for that package, really insightful. And it's at this point that we say thank you so much, everyone who joined us from 6 a.m. or at any point of the program. It's an absolute pleasure that you stayed through. And yes, it's time to call it a day on Kakaaki, the African Voice, and a week as well. I don't know what this excitement is about, but yeah, thank you so much. I am Onosho Rena Obozege, Rena OBO, everywhere on social media. As I say, we can always talk before we see the next day. So we'll see you on Monday. Bye.